These influencers are sus. Something smells off. And it ain't waffle fries.
We are better than you niggas, period.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
I missed him a lot today.
You ready for me yet?
And we're ready to go.
My Twitch Trinity, y'all need to check out Yella. Y'all need to check out Kawhi Bree. Y'all need to check out Arshawn.
Absolutely. Shout out to those three.
They lie, they procrastinate, they avoid, they're grandiose, they're narcissistic, they're undisciplined, they're nihilistic, they're aimless, all of those things, right? Victim mentality. They take the quick way out. They pursue impulsive pleasures. They sacrifice meaning for expediency. They don't take care of their basic responsibilities. They fight stupidly with their parents. They don't negotiate properly with their spouse. They're bitter at work because they haven't said what they have to say. They haven't thought through what they're doing tomorrow. They drink too much. They smoke too much. They take too many drugs. They don't regulate their so there's like, and everyone knows, man. Everyone knows. And that you have a section for comments where it's real human beings that are verified, and you have another section underneath that's for anonymous troll demons. And if you want to go visit their hell and see what their resentful minds are spewing into the public landscape, then you can. Otherwise, you stick to the real human beings.
For the 20th century, every decade pretty much had an ism.
I need to brush up on my isms.
Hey, yo, it's Ism, get the money. Yeah, it's Ism, get the money.
Ideologies are always really kind of difficult because they're ideas, they're different ways of looking at the world, and they all end in ism, and isms are intimidating. So today, let me see if I can help you understand the isms.
Yeah. One time, I thought I told you, nigga. Niggas know a nigga about his isms.
Isms have done so much damage, but people still believe in them.
Talking shit, I might just have to get him. Bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism.
I hereby turn over to Ism Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said Ism promises to take care of me forever.
Isms nigga. Thought I told you I'ma have to get him, nigga. Oh, bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr.
Isms, in my opinion, are not good. A person should not believe in an ism. He should believe in himself.
And not be clouded with the great isms.
Bitch! What the fuck? Now you about to fucking lose it. Woo. Niggas know a nigga about his isms. Talking shit, I might just have to get him. Bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism. Isms nigga. Thought I told you I'ma have to get him, nigga. Oh, bitch, I got that flow, I got that wisdom. Bitch, say no to me, I'm Mr. Ism.
I was like, you get your ass off my channel.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Critically Drinking, where we are doing the Ism Show, special shadow edition of the Ism Show. Let me see if I can get this one right. Give me a second. What's going on, Kawhi Bree? Bam.
What's up? Oh, sorry. Reckless is in my mic. Sorry. My bad.
You good.
You know Reckless loud.
I want to mock his voice, like, because he gets so loud. He do get loud. He's always on 10. But how's my mic right now? Because I turned it down.
Nice.
Where am I at?
Is mine loud? Because it's all
cool.
okay.
I sound good, but I don't know what it sounds like through the feed. So anybody out there, if y'all out there, let a brother know that Ism. What's up, Yellow Pill Coffee Co. in the building? What's going on, my guy? So today, everybody, real quick, this is a pivot. This is typically the time that Bree does Otaku Talk with Twan over on her stations. Yeah, we good, cool. But Twan had a birthday, so happy birthday, Twan. And we got to reclaim Bree's time. We got to reclaim some of Bree's time. So she here. So we're gonna talk about some personality styles today and the shadow. The shadow will probably be coming up a little bit. We'll be coming back, of course. The shadow creeps up quite a bit. We've seen that in conversations here, but we need to, I guess, demystify maybe what the shadow exactly is. So, really quickly, I do have a video, but I want to hear, let Bree jump in. How you feeling, lady?
No, I'm good. I'm just saying, I think it's becoming one of those things again that people are starting to kind of use it loosely, and it's a very specific thing. So
yeah,
I think we need to bring it back to what it actually is, so that people can actually find the steps to actually learn how to work through it and integrate it. Because if you lose the source, then you're not going to get the solution to the problem. And I think that happens a lot. We forget the source, and so then you can't really find a solution to problems. Like if you were to just take on the term shadow and you don't know where it comes from and you don't know what it means, and all that stuff. And then you're like, okay, now I know what a shadow is. Now what? It's going to be hard to find the now what. And I find that a lot in the conversations, that because we leave the school of thought, we don't actually have any solutions to anything. And thank you, Enya.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, dapper. I take it. I don't feel dapper. I just feel like cozy. Was it comfortable? I don't know. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to play a video. I have it queued up. That kind of explains it, but we'll be pausing the video and talking because I have several different. I'm so glad I said that. I don't have everything I need where I need it. How do I want to do this? Oh, how do I find tabs from a different device? Let me see. Let me see if I have it.
Wait.
So why don't you filibuster for me, Bree? Filibuster for me.
Hello, I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Shout out to Yella for streaming Last of Us. Isn't that what it's called? Yeah, Last of Us episode 2 today. So make sure you check it. He be playing all the stuff for the low. You're not trying to pay for HBO. Everybody ain't trying to have all these subscriptions. He need to just be the sub plug, or something like that. Like he seemed like he in the middle of a rebranding of his channel. So if I have to say, I think the new
have to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to give the people what they want a little bit, but I do like the sub plug, because I'm almost like I could probably cancel a few subscriptions if Yella gonna be just playing stuff. I'm just saying,
I'm with you. I just use my phone. It's on my phone. I'll just use my phone. God dang devil.
Yeah, you usually can't transfer it. I mean, Apples can do it.
Yeah, I don't have a Mac computer. I'm a little too broke for that.
Yeah.
So let me see. Bam.
Yes, let's go. It's so rainy. I hate Tennessee.
Am I even in the stream? Wait a minute. Where am I at? Oh,
what?
Snap. Okay.
I was like,
I had a tab that covered up the tab that had StreamYard on it.
Okay.
So that's me. Yeah, double isms this week. Let's go. Yes, you got a, special shadow edition of the isms. So
it's the shadow.
We're going to be talking about shadows. Sunday is a good day for shadows. And everybody, we are coming up on Groundhog's Day, which is a longstanding U.S. tradition about seeing the shadow and what that means for the immediate future. So, I mean, we're spiritual principles. We're kind of like right in the time frame of seeing shadows, where the light is returning into the world through spring and shadows emerge. So that is something that is right on theme a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and just
fancy way of saying if it's a sunny day, summer coming, and if it's not.
Yeah,
or is it like is there ever a possibility that the groundhog has a shadow and doesn't see it?
Yeah, overcast. So it's talking about when I looked into it, when the weather is overcast at this time of year, it's typically going to be an earlier spring because the weather has already it's on time. It's like on time. It's on. But if it's sunny, if it's like spring like in this time of year, then there's going to be another burst of winter that's going to come. So it's
okay.
like,
Okay.
it's
So
like
it's the
so I was
opposite.
looking
It's
into
like
that.
okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's like kind of like if you get snow on Christmas, like
You
it,
like-
like we don't get snow on Christmas anymore.
Right.
So if we get snow on Christmas, that means the winter's going to be different. The snow came too soon.
Yeah,
So
this
that
I don't
means
know
later-
what the groundhog gonna see this year because it's like tornado season in the South right now. It's like January.
It's very peculiar. So things are changing, and we're going to have to figure that out. What everything means now. Symbolism is going to be dead soon. We're not going to be able to rely on symbols from the world because we've changed it so much, which comes into a little bit about what we're talking about. We've changed our personalities, our styles, our nature versus nurture. All of that is changing up a little bit. So we will definitely be talking about a lot of the things that manifest because of that. Our culture is changing. So it's changing the people that come from it. So a lot of the things that we're looking for from no longer exist. So we're going to have to develop language and tools to understand that. And this is one of those tools, understanding like a personality type, the patterns, and the opposite of the pattern. So I'm going to start this video. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to have to remember exactly where I need to break in because this is what I did not do. Get set up. So let's see. Bam.
What is it? I was gonna say, you need me to share it? Or?
Nah, I got it. I just got stuff on my phone too. So I'm gonna be like, my brain is very linear, and trying to put it in like 3 different zones is like, nobody. What are you trying to do here? So let me switch this thing out real quick. Bam. All right, y'all.
Carl Jung was a Swiss psychoanalyst who collaborated with Sigmund Freud prior to setting out on his own to develop his own branch of psychoanalysis. The core of Jung's system was individuation, the process that each individual goes through to separate and differentiate the self out of conscious and unconscious drives. If you're familiar with extroversion and introversion, synchronicity, psychological complexes, or the collective unconscious, then you've encountered his ideas before. An important aspect of understanding psychological complexes and the collective unconscious is what Jung called archetypal phenomena. Jungian archetypes are universal, primal symbols that well up from the collective unconscious. They are described as innate, unspecific knowledge derived from human history across time, which inform and direct unconscious behavior. Specific historical, cultural, and personal context can alter the presentation of these archetypes, but the universality of the base forms is the important aspect that differentiates an archetype from a trope or a meme. Now, in life, archetypes actualize themselves within the confines of the individual's environment and determine the degree of individuation. For example, when a child interacts with someone who has sufficient resemblance to the maternal archetype, the child will feel and react to the archetype regardless of the specific details that do not align perfectly onto the mother archetype. Now, everyone possesses the capacity to embody and reflect every archetype. However, which archetypes naturally call to someone can vary based on the individual's predisposition as well as their chosen path to self-actualization. To begin to see and identify these archetypes, it's required to first understand the core categories that they fall into. And the first categorization is the 4 cardinal directions.
Before she gets into this, I just wanted to say that we're going to be using a lot of terms that we don't typically use in common conversation. So archetype, imagine that you might use the word a template or a pattern. So an archetype is just like a template or a pattern, something that establishes how everything else that proceeds from it is going to look and shape. Prototype is something that's tangible version of an archetype. So I just wanted to give different language just so y'all had something else to anchor your mind to, because archetype is not something that we use often. But a template, a prototype, a pattern, those are all things that we use more often.
Yeah, like the hero archetype or villain. Like we use it in those ways, like Disney movies especially, or kid movies, like the evil stepmother archetype, or just like they look a certain way, they have a certain pattern of speech, like, and that's how you'll know who's who. So that's a working example of archetypes.
Absolutely.
These are ego, order, social, and freedom. Those of you familiar with Tony Robbins probably recognize these as the same as his human needs, except he calls them significance, certainty, connection, and variety. Essentially, the individual is attempting to answer 4 questions, which results in 4 different categories of answers. The questions that ego asks are, what makes me significant? What can I do that will leave a mark on the world? The question that order asks is, how can I create certainty? How can I provide structure for the world? The question that social asks is, what connects me to others? What can I do that bonds me to my greater community? The question that freedom asks is, how can I experience more variety? Where can I find a paradise? To narrow down from there, there's a distinction between the style in which the individual answers these questions and the direction.
Now, before we go on, I wanted to pull this up as well. Bam, so people could see it a little bit better than it was on that
she
screen.
flashing. I'm like, do all
Yeah,
that
she
fucking
flashing, but-
Let people look at stuff. Let people look at stuff for a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, but she's definitely talking to people who are more familiar with the terminology.
Right, yeah.
So, so she's moving through it. But I did want to pull this up so y'all could kind of see the different zones. These are the different 12. You can see the cardinal directions. All right, Yella. You can see the cardinal directions: north, south, east, or west, up, down, left, right, whichever way you want to say it. But you saw those 4 zones she flashed, and you can see like the sage, the innocent, the explorer. They yearn for paradise. So that's going to be like they yearn for like an idyllic state. Let me see. You got the let me see. Power, mastery. Let me say magician, outlaw, hero. Magician, outlaw, hero. They say they want to leave their mark on the world. So they are going to definitely try to change the world in some fashion. Then you got the lover, the jester, and the everyman. They're trying to connect with others. So they're the most the social dynamic. Then you have the let me see, the caregiver, ruler, and creator, and they try to provide structure. So those are kind of going to be like the builders, whether of people, of systems, or something else. But that's kind of like the categories.
Domains.
Yeah, they're very helpful. They are very helpful. But I wanted everybody to be able to get a good look at it before we continue what she was saying. Hold up real quick. Yo, said he'd be right back.
Of which the person is going. It gets a bit confusing because the word ego is used twice to refer to 2 different aspects, so I'm going to explain it but replace the words with a better fit.
Now, real quick, don't worry about the words she's getting ready to use because we're going to be breaking down the individual types. She's trying to use different language for the zones, but that's, again, not our purpose. But she's going to try to language, and that change of language because we're already using language we're not using every day. Her adding different language on top of different language that we already don't use is going to be more confusing. So don't worry about this portion right here. But I'm going to let her go through it.
Oh, okay.
Ego is grounded, pragmatic, and connected to the community. You'll notice how on the wheel, these types tilt towards the social and order dimensions. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to refer to this as a pragmatic style. To determine if a motif belongs in the pragmatic category, ask these questions. Are the goals provable or definable? Is there a fear of the unknown or the unspeakable? Soul is abstract, mystic, and connected to an outside force. Again, notice how on the wheel, these types tilt towards the ego and freedom dimensions. I'm going to refer to this style as a mystic instead of soul. To determine if a motif belongs in the mystic category, ask these questions. Are the goals beyond understanding or are they undefinable? Is there a fear of the routine improvable? Self is driven, self-motivated, and responsible to the archetype itself. These types are not swayed by the 4 cardinal directions. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to refer to this style as the primal style. To determine if a motif belongs in the primal category, ask the questions, are the goals originating from within? Is there a fear of influence from others or deviation from the chosen path? From here, we overlay these categories onto one another and derive the specific archetype itself. When considering the presence of an archetype in an individual's life, consider not just the strengths and desires of this type, but also their fears and weaknesses. It may be the case that the individual does not yet have the strengths, or they may not recognize their desires, but the fear and weakness is usually present from the start.
All right, so what she's talking about here, it is interesting. What she's talking about are your personality styles all come with a flaw. I'm gonna call it the flaw that we have in our personalities is what psychology, they call it the shadow. So the flaw of your personality type is called the shadow. So understand, like, I know that word shadow is sometimes like put off, like Bree was talking about in Discord. People think about it as like new age mysticism, but it's really just the flaw that comes with your personality style. Like somebody that's naturally talkative, the flaw to being talkative might be that you overtalk or that you dominate conversation and don't listen. Like, so I mean, there's a we talked about it just the other day. I said that term in science. Every action has a equal and opposite reaction. So it's very similar to that. If your personality has a positive affect or aspect to it, it's also going to have a drawback to it, and you need to be aware of that. So that's what this is, what she's talking about. she's saying that even if you don't know what zone your personality lies in, the fear that is attached to that. So I use the example of somebody that talks, like a gregarious person, somebody that's very talkative. They may have a fear of a lack of attention, so they keep you talking so that you don't leave them. So that fear is what drives their behavior. So that's what she was talking about just then. There's a fear that drives our behavior based upon our personality. So that fear is present from early on, from childhood, but you may not know or have governed yourself in a way that you know the positive aspect, maybe talking to heal, talking to inform, talking to educate. So you may not have tapped into the positive aspects of your personality, but the negative will be there early on. Did you want to say something before I unpause, Bree?
Nah, I'm like, yeah, that fear part be there. You be kicking it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It
it
shows
just
up
be
early
there.
in the game.
Yeah, it
Early
just
in the game.
as long as you could usually remember, it's pretty much there. So.
Given the difficulty of finding clean, crisp archetypes in living human beings that are often portraying and experiencing more than one at any given time, prepare yourselves for a lot of pop culture references. Within the freedom category, there's 3 types. There's the innocent, which has a
Real quick, before she goes on, it's important to, I wanted to make this point as well. Because we're people and we're messy and we're complicated, you're probably not going to be one type. You're probably going to have multiple types. And you're probably going to, like we talk about love languages quite a bit. You're probably going to have some overlap, and you'll probably have different levels.
From each realm too.
Yeah, and you're probably going to be higher in some, lower in others. So that's important to understand that it's not like it's not a cookie cutter concept. Everybody's going to have a different, the same way when we talk about zodiac, they'll talk about like a Leo. Oh, you must be like this. But, you know, there are different types of Leos. And we also express that, like the loyalty of a Leo. It's expressed differently. Loyalty from one Leo might be somebody that's a fast friend that'll just bond to you quickly. Another Leo like me, man, you got to earn that. You got to earn it. But once you earn it, you have it forever.
Right.
So it's the expression of the different dynamics. We have to understand that it's not one way. So I just wanted to express that because she did say there's some overlap. So I definitely want to keep that before we get. So we're going to do it. What I want to do, she's going to go through these one at a time. So I'm going to pause as she does each one. I have some other documents where I'm going to read a little bit further into the style. And then that thing that you sent me with each one shadow, then we'll touch
they have
that.
a shadow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pragmatic style. Innocents desire freedom and happiness, and they're afraid of punishment and limits.
Last thing. As we're going along, anybody is willing and able in the chat, I want you to see if you can identify yourself in the styles that we go through. And then also, because me and Bree can take it, identify us. If you see the style that sounds like Bree, or that sounds like Rashawn, you know, point it out in the chat. Like, that sounds a little Shaunish. That sounds a little Bree-ish. Go ahead and call us out. And then also call yourself out. Just so, you know, just so we can.
I do wonder if you'll probably fit into different ones in each realm, because it's like 4 realms. So I wonder if you could almost even identify a little bit with one in each quadrant, basically.
You probably could, depending upon your personality. Because, you know, one was about, there were some that were internal, some that were social, some that were in the
like,
world.
what
so
would paradise look like
one
for you? What kind of structure does the world need? How do you desire to connect? And the one at the bottom was something else. So I bet you could probably relate to one of them in each realm to some degree.
Yeah. Hey, Ine, hello. We are definitely glad to see you. We are talking about personality traits and the shadow, or the hidden flaw sometimes of those personality traits. So that's where we're at today. So we have to learn to balance them all. You actually do not. You probably will not. Yeah, you probably will not have all of these. So you don't have to worry about them all, because you probably won't have all of them. Some of them will not be you. They won't relate to you in any capacity. What it will help you do is identify the traits of others. Because sometimes, even if you find yourself in this chart, you'll also find other people. And then maybe it will help you understand them a little bit when you find out the hidden flaw that they may be wrestling with themselves, and the ones that you're wrestling with. Me and Bree were looking at I sent her an Instagram video. There's another content creator. And I was like, man, his emotional reaction in this video just doesn't feel authentic. But I'm like, it's, to me, it was because the story he's telling himself, and this is important too when we're considering these personality styles. I'll say I am and we'll go through this. Like, let's say I am a sage.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell myself I'm a sage. I try
Right.
to engross myself in learning and sharing the knowledge, but at my core, I may actually be something different. So the
Right.
way I behave may be different than the things I say. So you'll find inconsistencies in people when they believe they're one personality type, but they behave in their truer personality type. They may not understand why they're having the incongruence or inconsistency, but it may help you to see why, because they're living out a role that they're not built for. But hey, everybody. Let me go back because we're on the innocent one. And I know exactly who I believe this is. Let her start this one.
Oh, okay.
The innocent.
References. Within the freedom category, there's 3 types. There's the innocent, which has a pragmatic style. Innocents desire freedom and happiness, and they're afraid of punishment and limits. They tend to be optimistic and faithful while also being a little too naive and lacking spice. Examples of the innocent from pop culture are Dorothy from Wizard of Oz and Forrest Gump from Forrest Gump. Next, there's the explorer.
Hello,
Which
before we go any further,
I'm glad she had some pop culture references in there
some,
too.
yeah,
of like
some visual
characters.
cues.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so you can be like, okay, yeah, that's not me.
Nah, that's not me. That's
I
not
was
me.
like, that's not me at all.
So what I have with the ego types, the innocent, it says motto, free to be you and me. The core desire is to get to paradise. Goal is to be happy. The greatest fear is to be punished for doing something bad or wrong. The strategy is to do things right. The weakness, boring for all their naive innocent. Talent is faith and optimism. The innocent is also known as utopian, traditionalist, naive, mystic, saint, romantic, dreamer.
Okay.
Now, is that
Some of them titles
anybody?
was nice.
Yeah, it's not
I
all
liked
negative.
it.
These are just the personality types.
Yeah.
I know at least one innocent, and I wonder if they'll identify themselves with anything we've said.
He said, I know who innocent is.
I know
It's
who innocent
me.
is.
I'm innocent. Nah.
Yeah. So
I'm a little
it's
too
definitely not
spicy
me.
to be innocent. It's definitely, we know it's Enya. It's our Roseberry Enya.
Innocent. Yeah, it's even part of her name. In.
Yeah,
She got that
is she
IN already.
innocent?
She's
She's appearance like she's so optimistic and hopeful and just hoping for a better tomorrow. And that's like, you need that in the world. So
Tomorrow will bring.
I mean, it'd be nice to
a
be
better
innocent.
me.
It's in the pragmatic thing. So yeah, that I've always find innocent people nice. She said,
Yeah.
"Dang, it's me."
Now here's the shadow. Here's
Okay.
the shadow of the innocent. The victim. The shadow of the innocent is the victim. This is the archetype that takes purity and naivety to the extreme. They're often gullible and powerless. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly being taken advantage of or being in situations where they feel out of control. They might also find themselves overly trusting of others. So that is what the innocent has to contend with and worry about within themselves. So if you are the innocent type, you may fall for a lot of broken promises, a lot of empty words. No.
He
I
reading
do
the
not
article.
allow y'all to call me out. I'm reading the article. I'm reading the article about the innocent. That's all I'm doing is reading the article about the innocent. Yeah, no. She's like, no.
Don't worry, we all gonna get our turn.
We're all on here.
Who
We're
the
all on
rage
here. What's
monster
up, Intellectual
archetype?
Soapbox? Who I'm not even sure if he's not still streaming because I know he was over there doing the Black Files with Lola. So man, salute to you. I did see the history, the unsolved history. That was cute. I like that. I don't know why I like that so much, but welcome in. If you're still streaming, man, get back to Lola. Don't be leaving her up there hanging. And also, I know Brother Clarence is streaming. So if y'all, he's talking about the Tyree. I don't know the guy's name, but the gentleman that was killed by the police. Brother, I am still streaming.
Tyree
Nichols. Brother Clarence is over there talking about that if anybody is interested. So those two streamers are both still streaming. So if you want a different style of content, want to let you know that it is available. Yeah, man, definitely, for sure. But let's go on from innocent, Enya. I mean, not Enya, innocent. Forgive me. I'm not calling you out, Enya. I wasn't talking about you at all. The innocent.
It's too close.
Yeah, so just to bring up that chart again real quick. What'd he say? Oh, that little ghost face. I don't even know what that is.
It's like this. It's like.
Yeah, so just say I'll see that chart again. That's that first one, innocent. And as I say, safety. I can't even read that on my screen. I got it shrunk. Let me see. Let me blow this up. Bam. Yep, safety. So innocent, they have a one that's their tool. They use safety. That's what they want. Safety. Man. Okay. All right. So let me get this lady back up. Let me take that down. Bam. Bam. Let's see who's next.
Own branch of psychoanalysis. The core of Jung's system was individuation, the process that each individual goes through to separate and differentiate the self out of conscious and unconscious.
Oh, what I do? Skip back? Oh, God.
How do I do that? Of answers. The questions that ego asks are what makes of influence from others or deviation archetype itself. But the fear and weakness is usually present from the start. Given the difficulty of finding their wanderings and oftentimes are missed. Culture are using
there you go. Oh yeah, you was right there.
References. Within the freedom category, there's 3 types. There's the innocent, which has a practice from Wizard of Oz, and Forrest Gump from Forrest Gump. Next, there's the explorer, which has a mystical style about it. They desire freedom and authenticity, but they're afraid of conformity and restriction. They tend to be ambitious and self-connected. They could also be a little aimless in their wanderings and oftentimes are misfits. Examples of explorers are Indiana Jones from Indiana Jones and Moana from Moana. Now
all right, so let me go back to that. That was the
Let's go, Moana.
Yeah, so
you identify with Moana. What a fish head.
Can't stand people.
I'm just saying, Moana said, what a fish is. We gonna just stay here and die?
Where was it? The Explorer. I'm looking for Mystic. The Explorer. God dang that one. Okay, let me see. There it is. So the Explorer. The motto is don't fence me in. Their core desire is the freedom to find out who you are through exploring the world. The goal is to experience a better, more authentic, more fulfilling life. Their biggest fear is getting trapped, conformity, and inner emptiness. Their strategy is to journey, seeking out and experiencing new things, escape from boredom. Their weakness is aimless wandering and becoming a misfit. Their talent is autonomy, ambition, being true to one's soul. The explorer is also known as the seeker, iconoclast, wanderer, individualist, and pilgrim. And let's look up the explorer's shadow form.
Oh no.
The explorer, the shadow form, is the wanderer. This is the archetype that takes adventure and independence to the extreme. They are often rootless, aimless, and directionless. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly moving from place to place or changing jobs frequently. They might also find themselves feeling restless and bored. So that is the explorer.
That's me about 6 years ago.
Okay.
I feel like I moved out of that. I did have a phase in my life, but that was literally how I moved. I always moved. I always changed jobs. I just wanted to explore experience. Like I told y'all, I had to get trapped into marriage. I wasn't playing. That was me.
You say that all the time.
Yeah. I even had a dream that it was a trap.
I'm gonna tell you. Now, that part of that is not in life. I'm not that in life. But I am that a lot of times in energy. Like energetically, I have to move energies quite a bit because I can't stay around one set energy too long. So I do move like energetically. Like I like, even if as a person I really enjoy being around, I have to separate myself from them for some time. But it may not be like a wander. I don't need to explore every energy. I just have I don't know what it is.
I'm thinking you might be more of a sage, probably.
I think I'm more sage, but I know what Enya is identifying. Like my quick to get bored or need to move on type thing. I think that's more impatience than a personality type. But
yeah,
impatience and intolerance. But I get what you're saying. I feel the same. So I might have some mystic, but I don't need to explore. I don't need to go here and there. I don't need to jump from job to job. I don't need to. I'd rather sit still. But if I find something lacking in any kind of way, even if it's just I don't like it anymore, I'll move on. I'm that person. I'll admit that.
Primal variation is going to be the sage. They desire understanding and truth while fearing falsehoods and ignorance. They tend to be very wise and intelligent, but also very inactive and sedate. Yoda from Star Wars is a fantastic representation of this, as is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Next, there's the 3 ego types.
Yeah. Yoda and Gandalf. That's pretty fire.
Now that one, yeah.
They be moving slow.
They be moving slow. They be showing up late. The world be collapsing around them. The universe be in jeopardy, and they're just now moving.
Let's sit here and drink this tea. Like, yeah. But I think they have such a vast knowledge. Like, they don't feel the need to, like, I don't know. I think you can become a sage after you've explored. Like, I can see how some of these archetypes you can move in and out, especially in life phases. You will probably sit in some archetypes more. I feel like you could be an explorer. Like, I'm not an explorer anymore. I'd be trying to sit my ass down. But I definitely think, like, if you have been an explorer in the past, then you get to the kind of that stage. Like, everything's vanity. I'm just gonna sit here, chill. Like, you know. So
I agree. The sage has the motto, the truth will set you free. Core desires to find the truth. Goal, to use intelligence and analysis to understand the world. The biggest fear is being duped, misled, or ignorance. Strategy is seeking out information and knowledge, self-reflection, and understanding thought processes. The weaknesses can study details forever and never act. Talent, wisdom, and intelligence. Whoa, what's up with all these faces, yo? So with all these faces, yo.
I was just, go ahead. I was just listening. Active listening.
It was very active. It was like really active listening.
I had my mic off, so I don't know.
It was way too much activeness. Like less activity. Let me see. The sage is also known as the expert, scholar, detective, advisor, thinker, philosopher, academic, researcher, thinker, planner, professional, mentor, teacher, contemplative. God dang. Woo. But Danielle says, right, that makes sense. I would consider myself way more of this than the others, but I really don't. There's no shadow. There's no shadow to the sage. I just want y'all to know there is no shadow.
I know he lying.
Sage.
We're gonna read that sage shadow. Because he gonna be feeling like I feel like I read it about myself and I don't like it.
Man, okay, the shadow sage.
Yeah, let's go. He's about sage equals elder, right?
Ooh, boy, God, Jesus Christ. All right. The know-it-all is the shadow version of the sage.
Did you say that? Okay.
This is the archetype that takes knowledge and wisdom to the extreme. They're often arrogant, skeptical, and closed-minded. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly questioning or doubting others. They might also find themselves being too critical of others. So that's...
Wow. Okay.
So now
it doesn't sound like you at all.
You don't think so?
Critically drinking.
Okay, you're being sarcastic.
Yeah.
All right. I know what we need to do here, everybody. Well, the show is over, everybody. Thank you for coming.
I mean, no, I would say I'm a little bit of a sage. Like I've done a lot of exploring, but what I find, what was the name of this realm, this quadrant?
Oh crap! Let me see.
Like how you want to see the world or something, like happiness. A yearn for paradise. The older I get, I find that I don't really give a fuck about paradise anymore. So I think I'm kind of falling away from this quadrant at all.
And I disagree.
I'm starting to move away from some idealistic points. Like I mean, I could say I'm more of a sage now. I've gone through an explorer phase of my life. I wouldn't quite say I'm a sage.
Yeah.
I just feel like the world needs more structure now. So I think if I said that there was any quadrant that I would say I'm moving out of as I get older, it's more of that one. Feel like that was a younger me.
I think you're actually growing into sage But the yearn for paradise is not the way you're taking it. I think the yearn for paradise is trying to find a contentment for yourself, not for the world. Not the idealism of the world needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
You're trying to find a rightness for yourself.
Right.
So that's how I see that. And I could be interpreting that wrong. I haven't looked too deeply into the Jungian stuff, but I think the other one, when we get to it, your other one might be that creator innovation. And that's in the structure domain.
Right, yeah.
So I think that might also be where you're at. And I said, critical.
Yeah, I don't care about no paradise.
Say. I see Sage in me a little bit. It may be Brie.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of becoming a sage. You be like, people be fucked up.
Yeah. You're going to learn something. You're going to learn some things. But that is Sage. So let's move on to the next one. See who we got.
There's the hero, which has the pragmatic
the
variation.
video not
They
up.
desire willpower and responsibility.
My bad. So on me. Let me go back just a little bit. Let me pull the yellow.
So leave a mark on the
There's
world.
the hero, which has the pragmatic variation. Classic representation of this, as is Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Next, there's the 3 ego types. There's the hero, which has the pragmatic variation. They desire willpower and responsibility. They're afraid of vulnerability and showing weakness. They're courageous and competent, but also arrogant and never take a goddamn break. Mulan is a fantastic example of this archetype, as well as Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings.
All right, so that was the hero. Let me read that up, but I know wrong one. Big face cam.
We got any heroes in the chat? I'm not a hero.
Any heroes? What up, wireless woman? Hello. Just anybody that may be listening. I'll probably put this up somewhere at some point. But we did get rescheduled February the 9th, if I'm not mistaken. Thursday, February the 9th. So, yep. Thursday, February the 9th, 8 p.m. Eastern. We will get back on with the wireless woman. It won't be wireless Wednesday. I do like that, that alliteration. But, we'll think of something else. But Wednesday, wireless woman. Thursday, wireless woman, February 9th. Be here for the conversation.
Wireless woman says she's a hero.
She's a hero. So let's dive
Let's
into the hero.
Read and read some more.
Yeah, let's read that up. No, I'm in the shadows. Let me go back to the other one. Bam. Let's see. The hero, the motto, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm just thinking back to some of the things that wireless woman says, like if you feel like I feel, if you think. So she might be one of those people. Core desire, to prove one's worth through courageous acts. The goal is to expert mastery in a way that improves the world. Greatest fear is weakness, vulnerability, being a chicken. The strategy is to be as strong and competent as possible. Weakness is arrogance, always needing another battle to fight. Their talent is competence, and courage. And the hero is also known as the warrior, crusader, rescuer, superhero. Wireless woman just seems like that's the superhero, that the whole badge and the
I'm
logo.
like that's yep.
The soldier, dragon slayer, the winner, and the team player. So those are other labels that the hero gets. Okay. So let's look at the shadow. Let's look at the shadow of the hero. Let me see where we at, because they're not in the same order. Bam.
Yeah, I think Yellow might be this. He's like a covert hero who try to pretend he's way too into Batman.
Yeah, I'm gonna bully through the problem. I'm just gonna bull right through. I'm gonna bust through the wall. Let me see. The bully is the bully. The bully is the shadow version of the hero. This is the archetype that takes courage and strength to the extreme. They're often aggressive, violent, and intimidating. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly picking fights or being overly aggressive. They might also find themselves being abusive or bullying others. Think of it more as the anti-hero.
Mm-hmm. And typically with shadows, to be said, the thing you hate the most in other people is typically some gleaning of your own shadow. So if you hate bullies, you're probably the hero archetype.
Mm-hmm. Yellow protected bully kids. Yeah.
So yeah.
I agree. Yellow's a dark hero.
Yeah,
he like
that. He want to be a dark knight. Yeah. Vigilante.
You gotta get your cow, man. Gotta get your cow.
So we got Yellow and the wireless woman that are hero.
A little hero.
They got a little hero. Okay, they got a little mix of hero. Keep a track of your mix now.
I like it. I like it. All right, we're gonna go to the next one. This is the outlaw. I got a feeling this is gonna have some yellow in it too.
I don't. Can he have two in the same category? Probably not.
That's gonna be somebody's problem. Is that they have too much in one category?
He's
They're gonna
like,
be
you
like,
can't
all
just leave a mark
category
on the world. What about yourself? What about what's happiness to you? What about what brings structure to them? I don't care about that. It'll be the people
That's
that
gonna
go
be
out.
somebody.
The
You know it's gonna
sacrificial
be
lamb
somebody.
type. That's what they need to be called.
Yeah, I can see that. I can take it.
Hey,
What up,
Beyond.
B Nizzle? How you feeling? How you feeling, bro? You got them eyes, man. He's scoping out the landscape.
What y'all talking about
Type is
over
the
here?
rebel. They feel ineffectual and weak because they desire to challenge a form. Therefore, they're outrageous and radical, but also at their worst, criminal and dangerous. Positive variations of this archetype are Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Robin Hood from whichever decade rendition that you prefer. Last of the ego archetypes is going to.
All right, so the outlaw. Let me read that one real quick. Boom, boom, boom. I'm in the wrong
Keep
one.
listening, Shy. We might. I think I know where you would be. I think you're an innocent too. I think Shy Cutie's.
She might have some of the innocent.
Yeah.
I bet the other
be.
one's character, but I just got a feeling.
Yeah, for
Let me
sure.
see. What is that one again?
Outlaw.
Why is that not in here? Oh, I think it's called the Rebel and the other ones.
Mm-hmm. The Rebel. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see. What's that? B9. Let me see. The model rules are made to be broken. The core desire is revenge or revolution. The goal is to overturn what isn't working. Greatest fear is to be powerless or ineffectual. Strategy is disrupt, destroy, or shock. Weakness is crossing over to the dark side or crime. Talent is outrageousness, radical freedom. The outlaw is also known as the rebel, revolutionary, wild man, the misfit, or the iconoclast. Now, there's some, I'm going to say there's some wireless women in there too.
Yeah. She said, never mind. I think you can have a mix, wireless. Like you can have a mix. There's a lot of people on YouTube, I think, that there's probably a skew of people who have platforms that fit in this.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm trying to find the opposite. I'm trying to find the shadow. Here we go. The shadow of that is the anarchist. This is the archetype that takes rebellion to the extreme. They are disruptive, chaotic, and destructive. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly feeling like they need to defy authority figures or societal norms. They might also feel like they're always fighting an uphill battle. Ooh.
Yeah, can't
little
relate.
Deviance.
I don't think I've ever gone through a little a phase of my life when I've been in it. Because like we said earlier, some people are just getting here. Some of these could be more of certain parts of your life. Like I think in my 20s, I was definitely an explorer. And as I get older, I moved out of that archetype. I'm a little bit more settled. So you could have, as a younger person, identify with one more and then kind of change a little bit.
Absolutely. So. There's probably going to be multiple zones that you fit in at any one given time. Like I said about love languages, you probably speak more than one of these personality styles, but they're going to be to differing degrees. But like Bree just said, at different parts of your life, you're going to be more active and extroverted. You might be more settled down at certain points. Having a family or kids might change your temperament and your personality style. So, of course, that's going to also affect which shadow comes with that. So each shadow is attached to a personality style, like opposites, equal and opposites, or there's a twisted variation of, like a variant of the personality style. A variant of the rebel is the anarchist. So let me get the. So I do think yellow and wireless woman have a little bit of both the hero and the rebel or outlaw.
And also, kids. I was going to say, and also remember, y'all, that each quadrant is about something else. This quadrant is how you leave your mark on the world. The last quadrant was how do you find paradise, or what is your version of paradise? So once again, you could feel like you identify with something in each quadrant, because each quadrant is how do you relate to the world in some way in different realms. So.
Variant. They desire understanding and meaning, but they fear Bueller's Day Off, and Robin Hood from whichever decade rendition that you prefer. Last of the ego archetypes is going to be the magician, the primal variant. They desire understanding and meaning, but they fear unintended consequences of pursuing that meaning. They're often good at finding solutions that are universal and work in any problem, but they also have a manipulative, controlling streak. Good pop culture representations of the magician archetype include Doctor Strange from Doctor Strange and Merlin from Arthurian legend, but also the show Merlin. Now, the three social types.
All right. So with the magician, it says the motto is I make things happen. Their core desire is understanding the fundamental laws of the universe. Goal is to make dreams come true. Greatest fear is unintended negative consequences. Strategy is to develop a vision and live by it. The weakness is they become manipulative. Their talent is finding win-win solutions. And the magician is also known as the visionary, catalyst, inventor, charismatic leader, shaman, healer, medicine man.
That's me. I relate to that one more in
You got a
this
little bit
realm.
of
This
the
probably
magician?
actually is the one I relate to the most currently in my life. Out of the ones we've heard, I know there's probably another one that I feel like is more me consistently over the course of a lifetime, but I definitely feel like this one I relate to more about how to leave my mark on the world.
Now, the dark side of the magician is the sorcerer. They would use their power and knowledge for evil instead of good. This is often associated with dark magic and deception. It doesn't offer a lot there. That's a really brief shadow description, but
Probably on purpose because they're magicians.
yeah, they want to get tagged.
Yeah.
So let me see. You also
My
run your
brother,
channel the
one of
other
my
day for the
brothers
first time.
also was that person. He went to the dark side though. So
I mean, hopefully, hopefully most
he
people come
came
back.
back.
He came
He
back.
came back, but he
That's
was
what's
over
up.
there on his Jafar shit. Like, you over here on evil sorcerer shit. Like, so yeah, definitely. I have a brother who was that at one point in life, and I was more into that, but I still very much so moved from that. But,
Shakira said, I remember that.
yeah,
Dang.
it was a phase.
Man, so now we are going to the everyman. Let me see. I'm just going to find that in the text while she's reading that. Let me see. Innocent everyman. Boom.
Include the everyman, who is a pragmatic social.
Video.
They desire community
Video.
and equality, but fear standing out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Social types include the everyman, who is a pragmatic social. They desire community and equality, but fear standing out and being exiled from that community. That means they're realistic and empathetic, but also they can kind of be a bit hive-mindy and lose themselves in the group. Examples of this archetype are going to be Jim Halpert from The Office and Jerry from Rick and Morty. Another way of finding connection is through the love.
All right, so that is the...
Find myself having a visceral reaction to that archetype.
Really?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate?
I just don't.
Okay.
Like, there's nothing about like the idea of like
big rig,
a hive mind collective, like giving a fuck so much that you're like weak.
Yeah. That's dirty.
Woo! I almost threw up.
Self-sabotage.
He
That
said
was
he's
a
definitely
magician
not the
move.
everyman.
Nah, I mean, I get it though. The motto for the everyman says all men and women are created equal. Core desire is connecting. Core desire is connecting with others. Their goal is to belong. Their greatest fear is to be left out or to stand out from the crowd. Strategy is to develop ordinary, solid virtues, be down to earth, the common touch. Weakness is losing one's own self in an effort to blend in for the sake of superficial relationships. Their talent is realism, empathy, a lack of pretense. The everyman is also known as the good old boy, regular guy, girl, regular Joe, the person next door, the realist, the working stiff, the solid citizen, the good neighbor, the silent majority. That's the archetype. Let me find the shadow of this dude that Bree is disgusted by.
No, I think they're good people, but it's just like if I saw that on me, like I could never.
I got you.
But it's probably
reject it for
balancing
yourself.
energy for my type. Yeah, because I'm very individualist, so it probably balances me out.
Explorer, nope. Hero, nope.
What's
What
the
is it?
everyman? I don't think is it called the everyman?
The everyman. Okay. The shadow everyman is harder to pin down. Interesting. In his or her shadow form, the everyman is terrified of individualism and being left out of the group. They have a fear of abandonment above all else and standing out. In extreme forms, this often results in a complete lack of self and identity. So they become a morph. They become whatever they need to. The shadow, that is somebody that becomes whatever they need to. A chameleon.
Yeah, they're
I guess
chameleon.
that would be the opposite.
Or a bot or an NPC.
Yeah, just whatever to fit in. I'll give up myself to fit in. Oh, and y'all said Nova, that's your twin.
I definitely don't see Nova being that type at all.
You better not turn in your twin like that. Okay, maybe like 2% of every man.
Yeah,
What's
I
up,
think
Roberto?
every man is every man, so everybody's a little bit of an every man. I think people who are like, I will go along for the sake of peace is another way I think of some of these people. And that's okay. Like I know a lot of people, right? I know a lot of people who are like for the sake of peace. I feel like my husband is a little bit of an everyman. Like he doesn't feel strongly enough about like having this huge mark or like I need the attention. I don't know. He just has this like some stuff. He doesn't care a lot about a lot of things to try to fight about it. So a lot of times he's just like, I'll just go along. But I think the thing he's not is like he has a sense of himself. He's very much so like, no, I'm not gonna cross this line. I'm not gonna do it just to be liked. But I think a lot of people have a bit of a hive mind collective group. I think a lot of Asian guys are like this as well because they come from collective cultures.
Collective culture. I can see that.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't like it because I'm chaotic.
Wow, that's what I'm saying. Bots gonna bot. Yellow pill through Mandrell on the sacrificial.
They have a benefit. Yeah, they're stability. They're the people who bring stability.
Okay, maybe I have a look. Yeah, you need. I hate to say this. You kind of need the hive. You kind of need the sheep.
Right.
Like you kind of need the bulk of humanity to do most of the
everybody can't be out here trying to be the hero.
Exactly. Everybody can't be the CEO. Somebody's got to be in the mailroom. Somebody has to push. There's got to be some
every man might
Joe.
be the strongest people in this whole thing. I mean, even though I have a visceral reaction to it, I give it to him because to just be like, my brother says that, the middle one, he's like, I'm just a normal dude. I'm not the CEO guy. I'm not gonna be that guy. I'm the guy who plants the plants. I do the job nobody else want to do, and I'm fine with it. That's an everyman philosophy. So
yeah. That's why I can't say Nova. He don't like praise, but he has no problem standing out.
He definitely don't have a problem standing out at all.
Yeah. It's interesting though.
I don't see that in Nova. I think he's a little bit too edgy to be a everyman.
I think Inya just hasn't seen enough of his edginess to know that he's got a little bit of. But wait a second though. It didn't really say what type of fitting in though. Because the whole edgelord thing, edgelord thing is a fitting in thing too.
That's true. They kind of blend in. They become whatever the culture of the group is. So that's
true. I mean, because I would say when I watch Destiny every now and then, or when I watch certain I'll say white streamers, like Nova will use a lot of the same, like the emotes. Like, so there's even a fitting in of how you emote within the chat section. You know what I'm saying? So like the kek, like the LOL thing, but he does kek. Like that's a part of fitting in. So Inya might be right.
That's her twin. So I mean,
she know him better than we do. You're right. You're right.
Your faceless twin. So
faceless twins.
Yeah, I think Shy's a little bit of a I would think so. She's not like, she's just really like that, like for the group, like almost like I'm just not gonna. If she trusts the leader of said group, or she trusts the group of values and morals, I think she'll pretty much be like, you know what, I'm like, I don't need to. I'm not so stubborn that I need to just like have my way or like make everybody agree. Like she just kind of be like, you know what, it's cool. Like we going, let's go. How can I help? That's kind of how she is.
B9, you definitely have some sage in you. Let me read the sage real quick.
B9 is definitely not an everyman at all.
No, definitely not an everyman. But I think you have.
He might be a rebel.
He probably has some rebel. Let me see. The sage is their motto is the truth will set you free. Their core desire is to find the truth. The goal is to use intelligence and analysis to understand the world. The biggest fear is being duped, misled, or ignorance. The strategy is seeking out information and knowledge, self-reflection, and understanding thought processes. The weaknesses can study details forever and never act. Talent is wisdom and intelligence. And the sage is also known as the expert, scholar, detective, advisor, thinker, philosopher, academic, researcher, thinker, planner, professional, mentor, teacher, contemplative. I think you have some of that, but then you also have an edgier side, but I don't think we've gotten to the edgier side. There's another side that definitely comes out. But you have that in you too, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The hero, some B9. Inya said B9. A hero.
Yeah, a little bit of hero, I think. Yeah,
rebel, hero,
maybe
sage.
not rebel, but
Rebel,
I think hero
sage.
sage possibly.
Okay, I can see that.
But I think sage more because I don't see him being triggered as much by. I think I can see him standing up to a bully, so probably.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the bully thing. Yep, the hero. Yep, because even the bully. Because these are like abstract concepts, the bully doesn't have to be the way we see a bully. The bully can just be a strong force that's pushing down on a weaker force. So I would even say the way he's coming back at feminism is his anti-bully thing, because feminism is asserting themselves in a dominant position. And B9 is like, nah,
B9 gonna come up on the panel with nobody that agree with him and be like, let me come up and be the opposing opinion over here for a minute. So I definitely feel like there's hero archetype energy.
I say, yeah, hero sage. He's a hero sage. I like that. I can rock with that. Let's see who this next person is real quick.
The jester.
The lover.
No.
Pointing at the lover.
Oh, yeah, she goes to pragmatic, mystic, and then primal. Okay.
Lover archetype, which is going to be the mystic social variant. They desire unity and intimacy, and they fear being undesirable and unlovable. This means they tend to be grateful and passionate towards the ones that they connect with, but that also means they're people-pleasing and obsessional with the ones that they connect with. Examples include Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings and Rogue from X-Men. Last but not least is
hold up though, because that sounded very...
Oh, wait a little bit. Now, I think maybe she might be a little bit of a lover now. She might be a little bit of a lover.
Whoo, but that sounded so much like what women these days are on.
Women are great. I feel like if you got to remember in all of these, these are social archetypes as well. So depending on the value system of the society, you could be raised up to be a certain archetype. Like I said, in Asian cultures, you would be raised up to be an everyman, right? Like in a collective culture, you would be pushed towards that archetype as the best one. So women are definitely pushed towards being the lover archetype.
Fight for your people. Fight for them. I'm with you. That's
I think women, like, there's no signal in this, like, not pushing women into the lover archetype. Even dark feminine energy or the hypersexualization, that's all lover archetype. That's the shadow of the lover archetype, the femme fatales, that's what women are in American culture.
All right. So let me go ahead and read the lover. The motto is, you're the only one. The core desires intimacy and experience. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. This is
women.
Goal. Being in a relationship with the people, work, and surroundings they love. Greatest fear. Being alone, a wallflower, unwanted, unloved. Strategies to become more and more physically and emotionally attractive. The weakness. Outward directed desire to please others, at risk of losing own identity. Their talent is passion, gratitude, appreciation, and commitment. The lover is also known as the partner, friend, intimate, enthusiast, sensualist, spouse, team builder. That is the...
Girl, now getting into that shadow. Let's get into that shadow.
Yeah, let's hit that shadow.
Like, I don't even think that's I think most women are pushed towards the lover. Like, that's the archetype we're most commonly acquainted with. I don't think there's... And then there's also feminine archetypes as well. But we don't know those, so...
Yeah, so the shadow of the lover is the seducer. The seducer is this is the archetype that takes passion and intimacy to the extreme. They are manipulative, seductive, and often use sex as a weapon. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly needing to be in a relationship or pursuing someone. They might also, or pursuing someone, period. They might also use their sexuality as a way to control others. Interesting.
The feminines.
Yes.
I don't know why he had to say it like that.
Who, me?
I don't know why.
I just find this interesting. Why you had to say it like that? I just find it amazing to have read it and heard it that way. It was so spot on. It just makes me think.
I will say a lot of male narcissists fit the lover archetype as well. Like if you wanted to see what a man who would be a lover archetype would probably look like, I find that when a lot of narcissistic men fit the lover archetype. I mean, a lot of them have abandonment issues. If you look at the actual personality disorder, a lot of it comes from abandonment issues, fear of being alone, fear of being abandoned. So I find that if you wanted to look at how maybe a bad variant of a male lover archetype would be, it would be a narcissist man, which I was having a conversation on the panel about why I think a lot of narcissistic men are great in bed and great lovers is because they have to be, and they use that dark shadow energy of the lover to entrap people. And it's terrible. So I mean, we have a lot of examples of what female energy in this archetype looks like, but I think we don't know what male. And I don't really know what the positive male lover archetype would be like. Honestly, we don't see a lot of it.
Wow. Okay.
I think because in America it's such a feminine archetype. Like I just don't see it.
It does feel heavily slanted towards the feminine, but y'all gonna come for women. Who's y'all? Who's y'all? Me and Bree did not come for women.
I don't know how this is a come for. I think we can all acknowledge that in American culture, women are taught to be the lover archetype, which means the negative side is going to come with the negative side. You said like you got no lover in me.
People. Yeah, that's interesting too. Got no lover in me. I've never cared about desirability. It's a benefit.
Oh, he's talking about Yella. He's talking about
Yella coming for the women. What?
All them oops. I think you should want your woman to have a little bit of it. I think a lot of men want more of their women to have the lover archetype. Quiet as it's kept. Y'all saying all women that, and I'm just like,
yeah, I don't think it's all women.
I don't think y'all would be complaining that much if women was really in this archetype.
Yeah, I honestly don't even think all women at this point. No. Oh man, I don't even know how to articulate this because I haven't given this much thought. But I think because like what Bria's saying, because it's socialized, there are more women in the shadow of the lover.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to be the lover. Like the actual lover archetype that's not 50% or above. Like that's a minority that are actually existing in the lover archetype. They think they're trying to get the same aims as the lover archetype by using the mechanisms of the shadow.
The dark feminine lover energy. Yeah. Most people kicking it in their shadows. Generally, I feel like most people kicking it in the shadow realm. And she said that at the beginning of the video, most of the time, the fear and the negative side of it is just there before the positive aspects of it come out. So if you look at every single one of these archetypes and listen to the shadow, realize that most people are going to be by default in the negative aspect of it because most of us came from some kind of whatever. So just also realize that. So if you're saying you're an archetype, you probably before some work and some inner work and some age and wisdom was kicking it on the shadow side. Yeah, so just take that into consideration. First. Yeah, that comes first.
And I know society does play a really big part in this, because I know society tells us something. We don't know to reject it. We just kind of accept it. Like you said, we're in the shadow. That's the default. Default is in the shadow. But I know as men, because I've had this conversation when we had the whole BBL conversation thing, the whole desirability thing. If men's attention is only going towards women's physique and not who they are as a person, then it's going to incentivize the woman to remain in the shadow because that's the mechanism to get what she wants. Like that's the only through line, because he doesn't care about me as a person. The only way I can do is be the seducer. That's the only key for the door to what I want. And then I have to get in the door and then try to work magic to try to change the energy from seducer to lover, which is I
And
think
that's
why
the model we're given too.
and I think
A
that's
lot.
why men are complaining about. They'll say a lot of times like, well, she was one way until we were together, and then there was a switch that flipped.
Yeah, she
Well,
didn't
there
tap into that light side of lover. She probably
until
she might have gone to the structure side. She might go to the
something,
service side,
something.
but she doesn't tap into, she never goes into the light side of the lover side. Either she'll completely tap out, or you'll see it still. She'll take away when y'all argue. She'll, you'll be in the sexless marriage, or she'll weaponize her sex within the marriage, when you're mad. So either she probably still be in it, but it's less the seducer part. It's more weaponizing what you want, weaponizing the incentive. To keep it an incentive, she takes it away because that's her power. So
Man, it's a superpower.
I think it stays. I think she stays there.
Let's go on to the next one. Let's look at the jester. See if we've got any clowns in the car. I better not make any jokes. What I'm saying, do we have any clowns? Let this play.
Be the jester archetype, the primal social variant. They tend to desire enjoyment and humor, and obviously fear boredom. This means that they are joyful and thrilling to be around, but are oftentimes equally frivolous. Donkey from Shrek, and anything Rebel Wilson does is, just Rebel Wilson. She's actually a good representation. Last but not
Sounded so Aggie, so we know she don't. She's having a visceral reaction to jesters. She don't like them.
She does not like them. And that's also probably another thing to understand. Like people do with zodiacs, there are some of these that are probably going to be an alignment with you. There are some that are going to be kind of neutral with you, and there are some that are going to be repulsive to you.
Yeah, like you're gonna be like, oh, you just got somebody in your head, like, oh, I can't stand them.
Mm-hmm. So the jester's motto is you only live once. The core desire is to live in the moment with full enjoyment. Goal is to have a great time and lighten up the world. Greatest fear is being bored or boring to others. Strategy, play, make jokes, be funny. Weaknesses are frivolity and wasting time. Their talent is joy. The jester is also known as the fool, trickster, joker, practical joker, or comedian. Let's find that shadow real quick.
That's not like somebody I know.
Uh-oh, you know something? You know a jester?
Now let's hear the shadow side first, because if they say troll,
I mean, I did see that somewhere, but I don't think it was this one. The fool is the shadow version of the jester. They are often careless, irresponsible, and make light of serious situations. Gotta have a little bit of that. Another of the iteration of the jester shadow is the trickster. The trickster is more malicious version of the jester. They often use their wit and humor to deceive and take advantage of others. The Joker is a well-known example of the trickster in popular culture. This video provides a great... No, we don't need that video. I mean,
when I said quick, I knew somebody who got a little of that in them, you was like, who? It's you. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. This is probably a little bit of Nova as well. I think Nova's a little bit of a jester as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, it's not about making jokes. Making jokes is just a behavior.
Yeah.
But it's talking about the psychology behind why you're making the jokes. Because you're trying, it's not just like just to be humorous in that moment. There's an intent, like a comment, like a pervasive and continuing intent behind why you're always joking. That's the thing.
Yeah, I think Nova would be a little bit of this too.
Yeah, that's definitely not you. My second ex-husband was a jester, a straight clown. Jesus. So I'm the vigilante jester. I possess both Batman and Joker. Wait a minute. The what is it? The Batman who kills or the bat who laughs? The bat who laughs. You're the bat who laughs.
The anarchist
Yella is the bat who laughs.
And no, I don't. I think it would be safer to assume if you identify with any of these, you definitely have exhibited shadow side. Like I think the typical reaction is, well, I'm the good side. No, anybody who can hear my voice, you listen to us, do not assume that you do not manifest or show any of these shadow side. The lady has said, we have said, most people chilling in the shadow until you're not. So just go ahead and accept that people have probably experienced you in a negative way, and if you identify with a certain archetype, it probably was in the shadow way.
Mm-hmm.
So no,
Yeah, can you be
you gonna
part
be
of it,
both.
but not the shadow? The shadow, and another thing, like where I guess what we may talk about at the end, the shadow just becomes a more integrated part of the archetype. So typically what happens, Inya, is you have the story you tell yourself, I'm the hero. I'm the hero. And I'll be movies. You watch movies and you watch TV shows. I'll probably even use Martin. Because I know you like Martin a lot. Martin was funny. He was smart. But if there was anybody that was bothering his people, he would go after them. Well, that's the hero. The problem is that good nature can also turn into a bad nature. So the same way he would go after people who was, he would joke on his people. Anybody that messed with his family, his friends, he would clown them. But he would also clown his own people. And he would embarrass his own people and shame his own people and talk them down. That's the bully.
Yeah,
so that's the opposite side of the hero. So you have both at the same time.
Yeah, because if you feel like you're fighting somebody, you could become a bully to them.
Mm-hmm. They say it in movies a lot of time. They say you live long enough to become the villain. Like I fight like I know the cop. Just you go to be a hero. I want to protect and serve. You go to be a hero, but your role, that aggressive role of being the hero, allows your mind in its darkest places to become the bully. I'll enact the same tools, but in a vicious way, in a harmful way. So the same tools I use to protect will be mechanisms that I use to harm. So it's like the same way that medicine's for a doctor. Think about it with medicine. A doctor has tools that will heal, but those same tools can kill. A scalpel might save. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think that a lot of times the shadows and leadership are especially dangerous when you start to get power. It would be nice if everybody's shadow was integrated before they got into positions of power. But we see this with police. Like they go in and they're the hero, like you said, but they very quickly can become the bully when they're in the power position. Because once they feel like this is the bad person, this is the villain, this is my villain that I'm going after, they will become the bully and use excessive force because they feel like I'm the hero. And I think Batman and Superman movies was like, even though it was a bad, like the movie itself was meh, but I think that was a good exploration of that. Like Batman and Superman both see themselves as heroes, but like they were even at odds with each other because Batman's like, how are you the hero when you just killed all these people saving us? Like, it's that whole thing. So I think the Batman Superman conversation and issue was a good exploration of that.
And the last thing I'll add to this before we move on to the next one, when me and Mandrell did that last stream on being dangerous, men being dangerous, what that is the integration of the shadow in a different form. No matter what, woman, man, the things that can be harmful, you have to have the restraint and the discipline to use them only to benefit, and have a hard line within yourself, a moral code, a development of your character, where you'll use those tools to benefit yourself and others, and not to intentionally inflict harm. So that's like when we talked about being dangerous. Yes, you do have to be dangerous because the world is dangerous. You have to be able to show up as to survive in the world. You have to have a level of aptitude. You have to have a level of perseverance. But you can use those things for good or bad. And that's what this is talking about. Your desire for love and intimacy, that's a good thing. But you can use it to develop a connection and a bond with another human person, or you can use it to control and manipulate another human person. So you can use the same tools towards different outcomes, positive or negative.
Control and manipulation is always on the evil side, if that's what you want to say. Because like Yella just said, facts, once I see a villain, there's no limit of force. And that's usually the problem with the hero archetypes. Because if they haven't integrated their shadow and you scapegoat or you project or you tell yourself a script, the person who could be decided to be the villain could be not the villain, but you use excessive force, which is what you see a lot in what we're talking about with police excessive use of force. because they're like, this is the bad person. And so that's what Rashawn's saying. If you don't have some type of internal like code to stop, what's to stop you from killing a person once you've decided that they're the villain?
Right. What happens when a 12-year-old is the bad guy? What happens when a guy with a tea and Skittles is the bad guy?
Right.
I saw a home, and it, not even about color. I saw a white homeless man sitting at a bus stop. 4 cops walked up in what they call that? What they used to line up criminals and shoot them. Like they just walked up and shot him at a bus stop. No provocation. He didn't stand up on them or not. If you don't have a line or a code that you will not cross, no matter what, you lose the difference between you and the villain. You lose. That's the problem. And we need to develop codes to keep us from crossing lines and boundaries. That's where the problem lies.
And that's part of integration. That is part of the integration.
Because you have to know that you're capable of doing harm with your knowledge, with your behaviors. You have to know that, man, I seek intimacy and I do these things to gain intimacy. I could use those to manipulate. I need to be aware that I'm doing that. That's my motivation so that I can catch myself before I cross those lines. I'm like Black Adam. All they can do is hate me because they damn sure can't beat me. I like that. That's why I respect Batman. No guns. I'm gonna beat you the F up.
Yeah, but Batman tempers it with a no. Well, does he have a no? Who have the no kill?
Don't use guns.
He don't use guns. Does he have a no kill? I think he doesn't kill, right? So
like most Batman don't kill.
Yeah, most. I know there's some, but there's like generally that is realistic. That is an integration of the shadow. Batman is supposed to be the integration because he knows he can't allow himself to kill because he knows that once he sees them as the villain, he probably just be killing everybody. Kill him.
And while we're on it, like Batman and Superman were supposed to be like representations of this principle. Like Superman was the light, the virtue, the archetype, the ideal, the perfect, the Ubermensch, the Superman. Batman was the Dark Knight. He existed in the shadows and was able to operate there, but was still able to keep his virtues and morals intact. So that was the integration, like the exemplification of the integration right there. Like the one guy who stayed in the light, but the one guy who operated in the dark, but still maintained his core.
Yeah, and they both use the same. Because I think with everything, there's even when you integrate, you could still pretty much function on the dark side or the light side to positive end as long as you have that code.
Absolutely. So I know we did a sidebar, but let's get back on this. We are on the caregiver. Now, this is where I think a lot of women also may find themselves. I think this is also me. Let's see what she said.
Least of the big categories is going to be the order group. The caregivers, pragmatic order. They desire to protect and care for others, and they fear selfishness and ingratitude. This means that they use compassion and generosity to be the positive aspect. However, they tend to be exploited easily and often refer to themselves as martyrs in the negative aspect. In pop culture, this would be Marge Simpson from The Simpsons and Hagrid from Harry Potter.
I also like the way she does both genders. Like she
I noticed it. Yeah. Who did she get for the lover though?
Oh God, shoot!
Did she give a lover?
I don't know.
Nah, she was annoyed by Rebel Wilson. No, she didn't.
I guess she didn't.
Yeah, she didn't. Okay, I just want to make sure. I was like, I don't remember her giving. I think Lestat and like Lestat would be a male one. No, he's like the first. He's like one of the only few male pop culture ones that just really leaned into the. Basically, he was a femme fatale, but he was a dude. Like, I mean,
caregiver. Yeah, I know you love some Lestat, boy. I know
because he's a narcissistic, toxic lover. I just love it. Yeah.
The caregiver motto is love your neighbor as yourself. Oh Jesus, the golden rule. Core desire is to protect and care for others. No.
Who?
Norval from Velma?
No.
The goal is to help others. Greatest fear is selfishness and ingratitude. Strategy is doing things for others. Acts of service, love language. Weakness is martyrdom and being exploited. Man, I know this person so well. Talent is compassion and generosity. The caregiver is also known as the saint, altruist, parent, helper, supporter. Now let's look at this shadow. Me. And
That's you?
No,
That's you? Oh, you said
that's not
me.
me.
I was like,
No.
what?
No,
Okay.
I know who this person is.
I was
Nah,
like, talk
boy.
about it.
Nah, that ain't me. I know this person well. The martyr is the shadow version of the caregiver. This is the archetype that takes caregiving to the extreme. They're self-sacrificing, codependent, and often find themselves in relationships where they are not appreciated. In this context, martyrdom is seen as honorable. It is unnecessary, self-sacrificing, more akin to victimhood. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly giving to others without receiving anything in return. They might also find themselves in relationships where they are not appreciated.
The dark triad of femininity, the caregiver, the lover, and the what was that other one?
I don't know.
The caregiver, the lover, and the innocent. Women are supposed to be the innocent, caregiving,
yes.
lover. That's what
Yes,
women
that
are
is-
supposed to be. Like
That's
the
y'all's dark
trifecta.
triad.
That's the dark triad of womanhood. I swear to fucking God. I
my
swear to
God.
God. That is the dark triad of womanhood, y'all. And I'm sure
You know
men
something like
on
that?
here got one. The hero
Yeah.
complex, probably something else.
Jesus Christ.
She said, I know
Man.
someone like this. Sound like what? This sound like y'all dream woman to me. But the thing is, most men don't realize she gonna be in the shadow. I think if the
Dang,
women
it really
were not,
is.
if the
That's
woman
what they've been
wasn't in the
asking for.
shadow side of the triangle, she would be the perfect woman. That's what men ask for. But what you usually get is the shadow.
Is the
triangle.
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Dang. So that's what's happening. Okay. So guys are asking for a combination archetype. They're asking for a triad. But
Mhm.
we're getting the dark version of the triad.
Yeah.
And we're rejecting it. But women are saying we're bringing to you exactly what you wanted, which they are. We're bringing you the triad you
didn't
asked
say
for.
the light.
Yeah,
You
we're
did-
bringing
she-
you the triad you asked for.
Yeah.
You're
she's
just
a
looking at the
shadow.
dark side of it.
You didn't be
Oh
so you
my
weren't
God.
specific.
That's crazy. You know,
And I
too.
think most
You
men
know,
are probably the ruler, hero, and I haven't decided on the last one.
I'm sure, man. Golly. This is crazy. Let's see what this
yeah.
creator one is.
She's
Reader
talking
or
about
artist
that's
is a
me.
mystic
Sorry. It's about this Bree.
Which one? The caregiver?
The caregiver. That's not me. Not inherently. I step into roles of caregiver. I step into roles of caregiver, but is that me? No, I adamantly hate it the whole time. Remember? That's not me. Hate it.
And y'all, you might have more caregiver. You might be innocent caregiver.
And y'all and Sheena. Shy.
Yeah.
Sorry. And y'all and Shy are the same. Y'all the same person. Kinda.
Yeah. Wait. I'm sorry. Nope. Inya said don't call her out. So no, that's not we weren't talking about you, Inya, at all. Nope.
He said you didn't say the light. That's exactly
the issue.
Okay, y'all weren't specific with y'all words, which we know. I know in y'all being sarcastic. Yeah, I die inside. Remember that.
Dies inside. God, that's such strong language.
Well, it's the language. So
Jesus. Like, wow. God dang. Some people just do not want to care. They do not have a duty to care. I thought you were a nurse. Duty to care.
I can step into the role of caregiver. Yeah, I can. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a part of me that, like, even though I innately don't like stuff, I have a set of virtues that drive me towards doing the outer responsibility will push me to do things I actively hate doing the whole time.
Well, people be using some sidebar. People be using some clickbaity titles. I know this guy ain't saying single mothers caused Tyree Nichols deletion.
Oh yeah. Oh no, he was for real.
Oh God.
She said she was being serious. And yeah, you got to be trolling.
She tripping.
Hagrid from Harry Potter.
She tripping.
Creator or artist is a mystic variant of order. The desire to manifest a vision into reality, but they fear failing to actually communicate that vision into practical reality. They're creative and imaginative, but they're oftentimes perfectionistic. Good examples of this archetype are Tony Stark from Iron Man and Willy Wonka from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Now.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. Go and read about my shadow.
Yesterday in Discord, the conversation, you gave a lot.
Yeah,
And
I
she
could
cuts
choose
grapes,
to do.
y'all. She's a caregiver. Yeah, she's a caregiver. She cuts grapes.
No, the society demands I be a caregiver. So, like, what the fuck am I gonna do?
And see, the video I just got, I think it might be a guy reacting to what some other person did, because this guy ain't the type to use. He's not
Oh
the
no,
type to
some
say
dude on the
shit like that.
news
Somebody
basically
must
said
have.
it. Yeah, the guy on the news was saying, like, a
I
man
think
on the
Jason
news
Whitlock
legit
said something stupid.
said, yeah.
By
He
all
said,
means,
can we
Yella,
drag that
I'll
nigga?
allow it. Drag on.
Somebody not on this.
Bree said not
Because
today.
we ain't gonna talk about the dark triad of masculinity that y'all be carrying around. We can't have a conversation about Tyree Nichols.
First of all,
so we ain't ready to have that conversation. Y'all not ready to talk about it.
Okay, that might be something we have to do. Dang, the dark. Okay, Jason Whitlock is idiot. Let's see what the ruler is. Cause oh wait, I forgot to.
No,
My
you
bad,
don't have
y'all.
to read
My
about
bad.
my shadow. It's cool.
Nah, let's keep going. My bad, y'all. My bad. I did the lover. The last one was caregiver. I don't think I did the caregiver either.
Oh, you
Or
didn't?
did I?
No.
No, I did. It was love your neighbor as yourself and all that stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I did the
Okay.
caregiver.
Yeah,
so I
because
need
they
to
get
do
taken
this one.
advantage of and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the creator artist is motto: if you can imagine it, it can be done. Core desire to create things of enduring value. The goal is to realize a vision. Greatest fear: mediocre vision or execution. Yo, Bree is always talking about that's me. That's me. That's me. Now I'm not about to be me. I'm not about to be me. No way. No way. Okay. This is hilarious. I love it.
Like, my shadow is integrated. She be here. She is me.
Strategy is to develop artistic control and skill. Task to create culture. Kawaii is for the culture. Express own vision. Weakness, perfectionism. Whew. Bad solutions. Jesus Christ. Talent is creativity and imagination. The creator is also known as the artist, inventor, innovator, musician, writer, or dreamer. So let's look at the shadow part of it. Good Lord. I refuse to be me. That is so you. That's hilarious. You say that all the time.
Right.
So the perfectionist is the shadow version of the creator. Nothing they create is good enough. They are their own harshest critic and often find themselves feeling disappointed with their work. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly trying to perfect their work. They might also find themselves procrastinating or not finishing projects.
Or finishing anything.
I've got some of that.
Yeah.
I've got some of that.
That's why I said this is me. I am the creator archetype. This is the one that I think I've been more consistently my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you just had to say, what is the one? I feel like that one. I've never moved out of that. I've never moved out of that space ever.
All Bree.
That's me.
Yeah, that's you. That is hilarious, man. That was so. When it said mediocre, because you use mediocre as a slur so often.
Yeah, just how like your other archetype literally used like your channel name. It's so funny how our shadows just be around. Somebody could be critical.
I wish I had that star when Yellow was like, "Oh yeah, crit" or whatever. I was like, God dang it, hold up, man, because that was funny.
Yeah,
I'm going to look for it. But yeah,
caregiving
I
is
like
not how I think you bring structure to the world. I think it's a necessary evil, which means that's not. Yeah,
it was somewhere up there. It sounds familiar. It's got to be right around there. Dang it, that was crazy. Critical. You don't say. God dang devil. That was hilarious. Whew. Okay, Shy says that's me a bit too. She will tell you to get off her page. Yes, on a live. My God.
Did I tell? I just told you. Yeah, you can always leave.
I'm gonna tell you though. One of my favorite. It's the funniest things about this shadow part of Bree specifically. If the beginning of the show, of her stream, if the audio or something is off, she will. You'll see it. You'll see it. Like she can't focus on the topic because the sound is just not right. or
It's
something
so
is
annoying.
tweaked off. So you'll see her like moving pictures and boxes around while they're streaming. It's like so perfectionist. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo.
I see ratios. Like when I look at screens, I don't see screens as like a big rectangle with empty space. I see ratios.
Jesus Christ, you're one of those people.
Yeah, I see like numbers and pixels.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
that's
don't
crazy.
see I don't see stuff like that. I mean, y'all saw me watching Last of Us. I don't even look at TV. Normal. Let it be a plot hole. Let it be a plot hole. Ruins the whole show for me.
Man.
So yeah.
That is true, because you did do that earlier on Yella's stream. On Yella's stream, I promise you, in the first 5 minutes of a show, like it was just like there was like a beginning scene about like 4 minutes. And then there was the next scene about 5 minutes long. So about 10 minutes into about an hour-long show, Bree predicted either this is going to happen, this is going to happen, or this is going to happen. And all three happened. And I'm like, how?
Only one snuck me, but it still made sense. It was the answer to the unrequited love part. I was like, how are they gonna loop this into her death? It's good writing. But when I said, listen, wireless woman, we don't do struggle streams. I
But
mean,
there's
I
a
have.
difference between struggle streams and tech issues.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Struggle streams might be necessary for a while. Cause like I'm not gonna buy a new camera. I'm not gonna buy, like I have the computer I have the budget I have, you know? So I think struggle streams are, you know.
Yeah, dude,
I didn't
swear
watch
she
the
watched that.
episode.
I would swear she did, but I just know she wouldn't have.
No,
Like,
I
that
wouldn't
was
have
crazy.
at all.
Yeah, we all, because this is a lot like other things that we do. Like this is archetypes are all throughout our society. We typically, the one that's most familiar to us is the zodiac. People use the archetypes of the zodiac very frequently, and this is just another version of that. So there's lots of different iconography or symbolism about types. You can look to religion and the 12 disciples about types. There's another one I'm going to bring up later briefly, just to call back for me and Bree, who did some work in archetypes before. But we'll call that back a little bit later. Let's hit this last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The lastest with the mostest, the ruler is the primal order archetype. They desire control and power and fear chaos and rebellion. They tend to be strong, responsible leaders, but they're also authoritarian, obviously. Pop culture examples of the ruler are going to be Mufasa from The Lion King and Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. Now that I've gotten through an ungodly...
Hold up, we're gonna let her finish, but I'm gonna let you finish. But the sage is the greatest archetype of all time.
Nah, Daenerys was the best fire breathing queen of all times.
Hero, caregiver, explorer.
I'm gonna figure out this male trifecta. I know you're gonna bring the circle back up when after she.
Yeah, the ruler. Power isn't everything; it's the only thing. Yeah. Core desire is control. Goal is to create a prosperous, successful family or community. Strategy is to exercise power. Greatest fear is chaos, being overthrown. And this is one, because this is narcissism a little bit. This is not narcissism. It might be Machiavellianism. Machiavellianism. Weakness is being authoritarian, unable to delegate. Talent is responsibility and leadership. The ruler is also known as the boss, leader, aristocrat, king, queen, politician, role model, manager, administrator. Now let's look at that shadow. Let's look at this shadow.
That's not like most men in America. Just like we all sounded like the most women were lovers. Most men about to be this.
Yeah, that's what we want to be, but we're in that shadow. I know we're going to be in the shadow. We're going to be in the shadow of it. Oh my God.
Yeah, my shadow.
Man, we deep in that shadow too. There it is. The shadow ruler is also known as the tyrant. This is the archetype that takes control to the extreme. They are repressive. There's that word, They are repressive, dictatorial, and oppressive. God dang, we're oppressive.
How
we're
you all oppressive? You just pressing. You just pressing.
I'm sure. I'm gonna add suppressive. I'm gonna add suppressive. I mean, we're just golly.
Unimpressive.
Unimpressive. Jesus, we're just pressive. Those who identify with this shadow archetype may find themselves constantly needing to prove their worth and power. Dominance. They might also feel the need to micromanage those around them. I need to tell you what to do and you do it. I tell you to jump, you jump. If I tell you to duck, you duck. There might be a car jumping the curb. If I tell you to duck, you need to duck. So, man, the tyrant is definitely manifesting in us. The us's.
I mean, that's a bad mix. You got a hero. You got the hero archetype, the power. What's this one called?
This is the ruler.
The ruler archetype. What's y'all third one? Y'all gonna have a third one? I can't remember. I need to see the circle.
Let's bring it
He
back
said,
up.
"Here's your turn. I told you it was coming." Yeah, let me see. So y'all got the
We
the
might have a little bit of
ruler.
explorer because we can't stay at home.
No, y'all don't be exploring.
Being on the
Ruler,
streets.
hero, and everyman.
Ooh.
I don't
I
think
don't
most
want that
people
one.
yearn for paradise like by default. I don't think we're pushed. Well, I think the women have the innocent caregiver thing, but yeah, I think every man, ruler, and hero.
Okay, so while we're looking at this, pull one for each domain. Let's make it a quad. Like what's the quad for women and what's the quad for men? Like one from each domain that fits women and men.
Innocent caregiver, lover. So yeah, I don't think women are, even in our society though, if you think about traditionally, I don't think women are supposed to leave a mark on the world. It's like your mark on the world is caring for your king and having his babies.
I'm gonna give you the magician. I'm gonna give y'all the hex.
Oh, I guess the women did be doing the witchcraft and goddess stuff, so that's probably the only way we could get power. So if there were women who sought power or sought, the only way a woman could leave her mark on the world was as a oracle or the medicine woman or the whatever, you know. But if you just think about society, I don't think women were born to be like, you're gonna leave a mark on the world. I don't think it was. So it would make sense that for some women that realm was unexplored, or you know what I mean? Like it would make sense. And then as far as
I was gonna say it's gonna be expressed differently because society has suppressed you, but you're still gonna have the same drive.
Right.
So I see that women try to leave their mark on the world, and they may even do it in their own circle of women.
Right.
So they'll use a lot of imagery and imagination to concoct. Like I'm gonna use inflammatory language, but like a delusion, a fiction. Like there's a false reality that women will create, but that it will give them power, so that people will follow them, like low vibrational plates. Coach Stormy, like there'll be a whole lane or language that people will. MLMs, another one that I think a lot of women fall into. There's that. I think a lot of that is a different version of power. Not the patriarchal model of power. I think there's a feminine model of power as well.
Well, you can see that a lot of men have a visceral reaction to that as well, because I think that's a realm that typically, once again, women weren't supposed to leave their mark on the world. Women weren't supposed to have power, and women have found a way to find power through the magician route of behind the scenes manipulating things, like. And so you see a lot of men have a visceral reaction to that. I was trying to see what realm men didn't have. I feel like that they're not crafted in, like the triangle. Was it the paradise one that I didn't say they had one in? You're muted.
My bad. To this video, you said share the link to
In
this
the
video,
circle.
Sean?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's what I said. Well, let me know. But you said, now what were you saying? You don't think men have
in the circle, like how women traditionally weren't told to leave a mark on the world, but women who did want to do it did it through that magician route. I think because I was saying the men didn't have anything, I think, in the yearn for paradise kind of thing.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it's crafted. Like I think it's so much more of like just like surviving, and like it's not about, I think for a lot of men, it's not about that, you know what I mean? Like traditional. We're just talking about traditional. Like you're not about paradise. You're like crafting the world to, you know, like in its state. You have to craft it from where it is. And so, but I do think men that do trickle into that realm, just like the women who trickled into the magician realm, I think like you're right, explorer, like men, the explorer type, do, if they break out of the structure kind of life, they go that explorer route, like go out, conquer, go push the boundaries. Like, so I do think.
I would say that these are actual, the way this is expressed in masculinity would be you read the book what's that called? Oh, he's Brazilian. Raul Cohen or what's that guy?
Paulo?
It's not the Prince. Paul, yeah, that guy.
The Alchemist.
The Alchemist. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the innocent, that's that first stage of development. The boy before he's gone through any trials. That's the innocent. The way he just took everybody's direction, you should do this, you should do that. He just followed. But there's a yearning for more. You're yearning for paradise. You're yearning for your treasure. Somebody tells you and sends you in a direction. They say your treasure is this way. Then you start, you transition into the young adult, the adolescent, the young man, the explorer phase. Then you're going to find something. For American men, a lot of time that yearning for paradise is that yearning for puss. So that paradise, again, these are abstract principles. We embody that paradise is something else. Either it's puss or it's money. Puss or money or power, or clout now. Clout and social, so there's some paradise, but it's not like a place. It's an idea. And what that is for each person is different. So you go in the exploration phase. Eventually you go through another zone to get to it. But when you get there, you end up in the sage space. Right. And you come back trying to impart information on the other young men. You become top G. And you try to inform guys about how to get to paradise. Paradise is not where you think it is. Don't look for paradise in women. Don't You end up in the sage space, but you end up in, again, staying through the shadow zone. You stay in the shadow zone of innocence. Then you get red pilled during the shadow zone of exploration. And then you become the toxic red pill coach in the shadow realm of sage. So that's where a lot of men are we're going through that one zone. Let me see what the name of that one is.
I think
yearning for paradise.
And I think if you look at all of them, each one, the ego, the soul, and the self, I think for me, to become integrating and become where I am now, I think I've explored each part of those. So to some degree, I've explored all those different archetypes to some degree, because I think one is serving the ego, one is serving the spirit, and one is serving the self. And I've found that if you can really balance yourself out, then for me, a lot of my journey has been going from ego, which I think, and if you look at all of the egos in a childlike state, when you see the world very concretely, you tend to be in that space. Like a lot of the ego ones are more concrete ideas that we know very early. Like even if you're not the archetype, you see them on TV very early. You might not see some of the other ones until you see more mature literature or more mature things. So even if you were to look at that circle and just look at each one she labeled as ego, you'll notice that those archetypes are presented to us very early because the child tends to exist in ego.
Definitely. I do want to catch up on these chats real quick. Let me see. Wireless woman said, "This is my last boss. May they pay him in dust." Good God. Yo, I haven't said all men yet. Y'all men ain't meaning. No, men ain't meaning. Oh, God dang it. I'm just watching and waiting to get tagged in. Oh, a lot of women's issues are rooted in the shift of power, if power can apply here.
No, a lot of men's issues with women is the women shift in power. But let's anyway.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Speak on it.
No,
speak
on
it. Okay. Women found power when men went to fight wars and left women to become machine operators and baseball players. That's a little true. Well, freedom and understand might be a paradise we yearn for in relationship scenarios. Yeah, paradise could be anything. Once a woman slides in the home plate in a skirt, she's not going back home to cook dinner. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
They both do start with a P.
Paradise. Tomato. Yeah, I think men want women in that. What was service and ego? Which one was an ego? You don't have to pull it up.
But pull it up. Which one?
Yeah. I'm like, look at
caregiver's ego, innocent ego.
But then you want her to, but women are put to the spirit. The spirit of women be, ooh. When I hear soul, I just think of spirit, and it's just, ooh, y'all be going through it because of that. They don't mix. That's why it's the Madonna whore complex. She probably gonna be a caregiver every man. Realistically, she probably would need to be a every man caregiver innocent, because a lot of times you're not gonna find an innocent who also a lover. I mean, you can, but
it don't make that don't
yeah,
fit.
manifesting that
don't fit.
manipulation, yeah, it don't fit. But that's
some will be off. Some will have to be off to get that.
I mean, I think that's what the Madonna whore complex problem is talking about. Like how you want this and this, like how you want purity, but you want somebody who's gonna satisfy you sexually at the same time.
Yeah, because the moment you go on the journey of lover, you're going to lose the innocence.
Right.
It's like
automatic. And if you want her to be pure coming in, she probably not going to be able to tap into the energy.
There'll be no experience to make it full. It won't be a full.
Or,
there'll be maybe a desire. Yeah, there may be a desire, but there'll be no mechanisms of creating intimacy and connection other than I don't even know.
She'll have a desire to please you, but at some point they get bored. That'd be the problem. But anyway, so no, it's fascinating when you think about it from that point of view.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I like that. Let me let her finish this out, and then we'll chop it up and drop the link.
Oddly amount of Lord of the Rings references, I have a question for you. Which archetypes do you resonate most with? If you don't know where to start, this is what I do when I'm trying to figure out what archetypes apply. Choose an archetype from each cardinal direction that is best aligned with your goals and fears. These questions I brought up at the beginning are a great structure to use. For ego, ask what makes you significant? What are you afraid of that makes you avoid significance? In order, how can you create certainty? What are you afraid of that makes you avoid certainty? Social, what connects you to others? What are you afraid of that makes you avoid connection? And freedom, how can I experience more variety? What are you afraid of that makes you want to avoid variety? Take some time, write some notes, consider the difficult times you've gone through and how they've affected you. When you're done, you can go on to the next part. Next, choose one archetype of each of the styles that reflects your tendencies when you embody that style. If you're not sure, you can use the questions I brought up before. Overlap is fine but not required, so don't stress about trying to make a style fit so it matches your cardinal directions. There's going to be at least one archetype that overlaps. Pragmatic. When the goals are provable or definable, which cardinal direction are you seeking? If you feel a fear of the unknown or unspeakable, which cardinal direction are you avoiding? For the mystic, when the goals are beyond understanding or undefinable, which cardinal direction are you personally seeking? If you feel a fear of the routine or provable, which cardinal direction are you avoiding? And for primal, when the goals originate from within, which cardinal direction are you seeking? If you feel a fear of influence or deviation, which cardinal direction are you avoiding? At this point, you should have 7 archetypes written down from the cardinal directions and from the styles. Whichever archetypes do overlap between style and direction are going to be your primary archetypes, as you've merged both your map and your movement. For example, if someone's cardinal archetypes are hero, sage, creator, and jester, and their styles are sage, hero, and creator, they would have 3 primary archetypes: be hero, sage, and creator. However, if someone's cardinal archetypes are magician, innocent, ruler, and lover, and their styles are ruler, lover, and hero, then they would have 2 primary archetypes: ruler and lover. Having more or less archetypes being deeply influential on your life isn't super important, because given enough time, all of the archetypes will eventually appear in those around you as well as in yourself. Like all things in typology, the point isn't being better than others, it's being better tomorrow than you were today. I assume you enjoyed this video because you made it to the end, so I want to know, dear viewer.
Now, really quickly, again, this video should be linked in the description of this video. I'm putting it in the chat now. Shakuti, I did also send it to you, so that is everywhere. At the end, I know that sounded very confusing, but just imagine anybody that's familiar with Zodiac, you'll know your sun, your moon, and your rising. So that's kind of what she was establishing in a different personality style structure. So if you understand Zodiac, it may be very similar. It's just the way you go about it is going to be a little different. But again, that's something you could go about on your leisure. I want to take a quick pause. I need about 2 minutes. Bree, can you hold it down for like 2 minutes?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Time for male slander. All right.
Whoa, so whoa.
So I hope everybody got something from at least this part. Rashawn's going to drop the link so people can come up and chat with us. Did you learn something? What do you think about our assessment of... And I know we did a square by the end, but I think most of us are raised up in like some kind of triangle, a trifecta of pain. Most of these are tarot archetypes. Yes, like the Fool and like some of that. I mean, they have different names maybe, but yeah, I would agree with that actually. The Wireless Woman. I think that's another set of archetypes that are used to kind of explain energies in the world around us as well. So I kind of agree with that whole idea that they match the tarot archetypes. That would make sense to me. And once again, archetypes are just ways to explain the phenomenon that we experience already. So once again, it's not that if you don't accept this is not happening to you. There are many schools of thoughts to talk about the same ideas. And so the goal is to kind of get your shadow integrated. So the integration of the shadow. And I don't know, Rashawn might have something, but I know with as far as our shadows, where do they come from? The shadow self comes from our value systems, how we were raised, things that our caregivers society told us were not acceptable, things that we had to repress in ourselves. So typically as you're coming up, you're like, you know, yourself and you're figuring out what that means. And as you go through society, maybe you had parents who kind of told you that certain things were not great, right? And so that would go into the shadow side, right? Things that you feel like you're not supposed to do, and so you repress them, and then after a while you may not even be aware of them. You subconsciously repress them. So that's kind of how the shadow self forms. So if you think about it in that way, and also understand that a lot of what projection is or scapegoating, and realize that a lot of people are irritated by things that you show them about themselves. How you experience other people is usually giving you information about yourself. And so you think about a lot of parents, the thing about their children that irritates them the most is probably something about their shadow. So if a parent hasn't integrated their shadow, they're probably going to be super critical of their child for doing the same thing. So if you kind of think about it that way, shadows are being passed down from generation to generation as well.
That's kind of deep.
Yeah, because the part of you that you suppress is a part of you your parent verbally told you to suppress, which is probably a part of them that they're suppressing. So it's like the generational curse or generational shadow thing is definitely a real thing. But welcome.
Thanks for having me.
That cutie.
He said, I said it with too much joy. I'm always ready for some man slander.
I was coming up here to man slander with you real quick, but
go ahead.
They triangle of pain. They in the triangle of trifecta of doom as well, because they hanging out in their shadows and whining about women not willingly come to be slaughtered in the slaughterhouse of men asserting power too aggressively and having no moral code of when enough is enough. But what were you gonna say?
Jesus.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this the lover's energy, because I think that a lot of times these men don't be really knowing what they asking for. Like you have to be very intentional and specific when you're asking for these things, and you have to be able to peep the game. Like if the person or that you're asking for these qualities from have a good balance on their shadow versions of this quality. And sometimes 98% of the time the answer to that is no.
Yeah. Most of us come up with we haven't integrated our shadow, because once again, you come from that authoritative place. It wouldn't be your shadow if somebody wasn't actively telling you that this is bad. Like shadows are formed out of moral codes. So that's usually something that was given to you by your parents, by society. And so you got to know that shadow is just you in the shadow side till you're not. So you getting the lover.
You're getting it. You getting that chaotic side of it though.
As a matter of fact, I thought that was dope, because I remember Bree was talking about having conversations with her eldest, and she was talking about, because of like your creativity and the way your mind works, these are some of the things you have to look out for. And that's the kind of understanding a lot of us need in our child rearing, because what this is just saying you have a tendency and a strength, and because you have this tendency with this particular strength, it could manifest harmful in the world this way. But this is how you use it to benefit yourself and the world. So it's just properly orientating your interest and your abilities in a useful and productive way that helps everybody as opposed to harming anybody. That's all this really is your personality, your strengths, how you operate, and how can we direct it positively instead of it becoming self-sabotaging mechanism or harmful to other people. That's all this is. But the language turns people off. Like shadow.
It really, and I really want us to get to a space where just because there is something negative about our archetypes and our characteristic traits doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and try to change them all at the same. I think you just have to get to a place where you recognize them, you understand them, and then you can proactively work with them as opposed to reactively working. Like, I think that's the biggest difference between people are more understanding and have a more in-depth understanding of themselves versus people who don't. I think that you can easily tiptoe to that dark side really quickly if you don't learn how to proactively exist with your shadow. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yes. Like, I think that once you get to that space, you can accept it, the shadows, but you can also learn how those shadows can help you within your creativity, I would say.
Yeah,
No, I definitely agree with
you.
I think it teaches you to give yourself a little leeway. I think you're better able to give yourself grace because I know I'm a perfectionist as well. Like, because of that, I just kind of like I always do the most, you know? Like,
Yeah.
even with DreamCon, I just had to rest easy knowing that at some point it's like, you probably have an amazing booth, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
probably gonna have an amazing booth, but you're just like not willing to accept that. And at some point, I'm like, I just kind of realized I'm never gonna be happy with my work. And so it just, at one point, I just have to give it to the world and get the feedback from the world. And then I can accept that, okay, maybe I did a good job. But I think knowing your shadow helps you kind of knowing that. I don't know. I think a lot of people posture as archetypes that are obviously acceptable in our society. Once again, like, women know that lover archetype is wanted, that innocent, depending on where you come from. If you're Christian or very religious, would be desirable, and of course the service one is very desirable. And so for me, I've learned that a lot of people posture as archetypes. You can posture as an archetype, and I think that's what virtue signaling is. It's like that posturing. So I think also it's like really hard, like Rashawn says, to know the nature of women, because I think so many women are posturing as that caregiving archetype, the lover archetype, and the innocent one. If you come from religion,
that's that soft girl. That's that
yeah,
soft
they're
girl.
like the soft girl. So much posturing.
Oh, there we
But
go.
let me shout out to Harris
Yeah.
Tribe Media Group. Thank you for being in the building, Mr. He Said, Mr. She Said. Of course, love and abundance as always. What is the vibe, family? Vibe is good today. Having a good day. Hopefully, the same with you. Hopefully, all is well. How is everything?
Talking about archetypes.
Go ahead, ladies.
Just finished up talking about 12 archetypes and the shadow archetypes. And so now we're just kind of having a conversation. But yeah, a lot of people are virtue signaling. A lot of men posture as the hero, the I'm in control. Like, I mean, we all do it. We all posture as what we think is acceptable archetypes in society.
I would agree with that. True. And I think that's the pressure. And I think sometimes that's difficult when you are trying to be the person you are with the pressures of what society thinks that you should be. It's a very slippery slope, you know? And I think that's why, I would have to say I did start working on doing my little shadow work, like I want to say around the ending of 2022. And through the process, I've learned so many different things. I've learned the positive traits versus my negative traits, and also I'm learning to balance the both. Like, I'm learning to balance my shadow self, and I'm because I'm aware, I'm really careful about some of the things I know morally that I don't want. Like, I don't want to be manipulative. I don't necessarily want to control or lead anything. I don't want
like, I'm in this lover energy. I gotta.
Yeah, right. But I don't want I want the lover energy to be more on the genuine side, because that's my authentic space anyway, right?
Right.
So, like, I'm learning that when it comes to weaponizing certain things, we can especially sex.
Right.
I don't even want that. I want everything to be genuine and authentic and like come from a natural space. Like
The light side.
the light side. But at the same time, I'm also wanting to make sure I'm not losing myself in the process and being true to who I am. And I actually will have to say, for the first time in a while, I feel kind of at peace with it. Like I'm more on the happy side of myself. Like, oh, this is me, and this has
Right.
always been me. And I don't care what society really has to say about me being me, kind of thing.
Say fuck it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
I wore my purple wig out yesterday, by the way.
That's what
Hey,
I'm
go ahead,
saying. You
Shy.
know
Go
what I'm
ahead,
saying? But
Shy.
that's why I make it a point to publicly say I hate the service that is not who I am. I know people look at you and you're like, you're a small woman and you're dainty and you're little, and that means you like doing all that shit. I don't. I hate it, y'all. I hate
Yeah.
it. And I'm not gonna stop saying it because I think people project the archetypes on us. Like
Yeah.
you woman, this is
Mm-hmm.
who you are. You man,
Mm-hmm.
this is who you are. It's like, no, I actually hate all that shit. If I could just sit in my room and paint and listen to classical music and just like dance in the moonlight
Yes.
naked, I probably would.
You probably would, right?
Like that's just how much I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
But like I'm responsible, so I can do things that I don't want to do, but that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean I have to project that I'm enjoying it the whole time. Like,
Right.
no. I
Yeah.
can do it because I need to do it. And I
Yeah.
have things more important than my desires and whims all the time. But I hate this shit the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, Yella.
Yeah. I'm really not about to enjoy sitting down doing all this paperwork of taxes. I'm really not.
Hate it.
But because it serves a higher purpose outside of myself, and because it feeds more to my genuine role of being a supporter and helper to my spouse, I'm gonna do it. But I'm not gonna enjoy it at all.
He clenching the whole time.
I
You know
am.
what? Can I ask you? I want Yellow to jump in, but y'all, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is empowerment or not. But I have a question. While I got y'all and y'all both did it, there is a trend where women are publicly proclaiming what they don't enjoy about what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like that is some weird, like
It's to fight
that's
back
some
the
weird stuff.
It's to fight back the archetype because I think you still, and I think I need men to do this. I need men to. There's some men who don't care to control
okay.
everything. There are some men who just be like, I can chill and let somebody else do stuff. I need people to actively verbalize that they exist outside of the archetype. That people that people put on you as a man. There is some stuff people just gonna put on you as a man.
Okay.
There's stuff that people are gonna put on us, and don't get it twisted. We responsible, so we do it in spite.
Yes.
But we hate that shit the whole way.
You can have some water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was well put by Bree the other day when she said she wasn't going to do performative femininity.
Oh yeah.
And I feel that same way. Because I feel like a lot of what we talking about now comes down to that performative aspect.
Very close.
Right.
Close that.
Posturing, posturing in certain sections to try to appear a certain way. You know what I'm saying? This is super performative, or like being pressured to have to fit into one of those slices that you know what I'm saying, make you more desirable or make you more comfortable to be around. That's why when I say being a certain type of man is only for the comfort of people around you. It's not even functional for you. So I get what you're saying. Like it's nothing wrong with getting money and all that shit and taking care of, because you're grown. You're supposed to do that, right? But at the same time, this whole ego thing about not being able to be taken care of. Look, house husband. Hey, look, any rich chicks that really like just need their back blown out and the crib cleaned up, I could take care of one of those things. But
he said what?
He said, "Look, we gonna play to my strengths right now." Okay?
Right. He said one of them. I can take care of one of those.
Right. He said, "This is the archetype I'm bringing." Okay.
Look, this the energy you want. I'm your guy.
Kiss the cook apron, all of that shit.
Right.
Look, I got your slippers, all of that shit. What you
I
want?
got your slip.
No, I think it's true. I want to hear more people, like, because I think also, like, I think that there's still value in it. Like a person being able to say they don't like it or they don't. I'm not the traditional woman. I'm not the woman that, you know, like if you were to list on paper, like I'm not her. But I can do a lot of things in spite of it. And I can do it and find contentment in that. That doesn't mean, but you should want to know that, because you know what's going to happen if the pressure gets put on. The stuff I don't naturally want to do is probably going to suffer first.
Yes.
And so I kind of need you to know that, because going in, just know if shit gets real, I'm probably going to fall off real hard on my domestic duties. And that doesn't mean I love you less. That's just because I never liked that shit in the first place. I kind of really need you to know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people need to be more like out about what they are good at and what they're innately drawn to and what they innately find enjoyment in. I'm gonna lean into creativity a lot when I get stressed out.
Yeah. And I'm more the opposite. I lean more into my organization, my cleaning, my making the house smell good, all of that stuff. My putting on silk robes and all of those things I lean into. Just naturally. Now the other stuff, when it comes to, if it's something that I have to put a little bit of effort into, or I have to learn something about it, that's gonna fall first, because the mental work that's required for me to do that after having to deal with all of my other responsibilities is just not. It's not appealing. But I would have to say that if I have to, if it came down to I have to do this or else kind of thing, or like it's gonna be, cause harm or affect the whole household, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna do it. And after I do it, I'll have a sense of peace about it because it's done. Like I feel kind of relieved. Will I be happy? Probably not. Will I be at peace?
Right.
Yeah. Will I be, at ease? Yeah. Less stress? Yeah. Happy? Probably not. But it's done. I can say I'm okay with that. Like that one thing checked off of my checklist.
I'm gonna let y'all men's jump in.
You got something yelling? All right,
No.
cool. While I want to show this, because I had this chart that I was showing. I also had this one. It's another version of it, just reoriented differently, but it just looks different.
Yeah,
but
it's too many colors. It's like I don't know. It looks weird. I don't know.
It just
Something
looks
about
different.
it. Yeah,
I like that one better for whatever reason.
Yeah, the other one's a little bit more organized. Like it has better separations of the quadrants. Yeah.
But what I really wanted to show Bree, though, because I think me and Bree were on the vanguard of Black intellectual. No, let me quit. Me and Bree talked about this in a different version before, because we also talked about gamer styles, and there were 12 gamer motivations when we did our gamer theory.
Right.
So I definitely wanted to show that chart too, because I said this before. A lot of the times we are looking at the same existence, but we're looking at it through different lenses. Zodiac, I think a wireless woman said tarot, this personality side, we're all looking through different lenses with different traditions and cultures, trying to understand the exact same thing. So, but find something that you can learn from, grow from, as opposed to just staying where you are. That's what a lot of people end up. They'll just tap out. But there's a lot of different languages. I mean, different styles. If you like video games, there's the gamer motivations. If you like Jung and psychology, you got this 12 archetypes. If you like mysticism, you can go with the tarot. If you like astrology, go with the zodiac. But learn about the different types, their drawbacks, their strengths, learn about something about humanity so that you can navigate a little bit better. That's what this stuff is about.
And I think it's important. Don't ever be okay with just always being okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we should continuously learn and grow and gain knowledge. All of those things are great. I think that it just continuously puts you in a space of not being too complacent, but also growth. Like I think growth, we say it happens outside of the comfort zones. And I think if you're continuously learning and challenging yourselves, you're constantly, being challenged outside of your comfort zone, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I hope I would want, if you could take this, I want people to start doing shadow work. I think it could, if it was kind of like taught in some kind of way of like how to integrate the negative aspects of yourself, I think it could fix a lot of the stuff people are complaining about. Because I was listening to somebody talk about the police excessive use of force, and like somebody was kind of talking about like, oh no, I think when I was reading about shadows before this show, and it was saying how shadows show up in leadership. It's like 4 ways, like if you haven't integrated your shadow, how it can be harmful to your role as a leader. And it's like four behaviors. This one was more specific and actually listing behaviors of people who haven't balanced their shadow, like being overly critical, like blowing up or having a short fuse. What was it? It was like two more. But what was interesting about it was like, well, if you use like if you were helpless or you feel helpless in general, like you have a undertone of like helplessness, powerlessness, and when you finally get in power like over somebody else, you're going to probably, like, if you haven't integrated your shadow, you're going to over exert power to fight how you felt when you were helpless or powerless. Like you're going to overcompensate when you have people subordinate to you so that you can feel empowered for that time you didn't have power. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important. And like a lot of people are finding themselves in leadership roles, whether it's for women, when you have kids, you're going to be in that kind of position. And men, sometimes, you get married or you have kids. So a lot of us is why in parenthood, you see the worst of people. Because it's like really the first time a lot of us, if we haven't socially climbed, in corporate or in our jobs, a lot of times the first time a lot of us get real power over another being is as parents. And a lot of us know how shitty parents are. Hot shadows here. So like women are being terrible moms, and like men are being terrible dads. And like it's because everybody's shadows are raising kids. Shadows out here raising kids.
The shadows, boy.
That's facts.
And they come in strong if you just go on autopilot. Like for real. If you be out here on autopilot, that means your shadow is running the show.
For real.
And it's chaos. It's very chaotic. So, but I think that when you get to a space of like just being more intentional, like I think the intentionality is also what pushes you to do the shadow work, because it requires a little bit more thought process, a little more effort into what you're actually doing. I think when you have a set goal or some form of idea of the direction you're trying to head in, that all of those things kind of force you to deal with those shadows and deal with all of that, so that you are not on autopilot and then your shadow just run the show.
I agree.
I really want to tell y'all, though, I can't get over that, man. I ain't moved on from that one point. I really want to, that I need y'all to help me understand, because y'all said something.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that people, like, there's got to be a medium between expressing negative feelings about the things that you do to maintain the household and family. There's got to be a medium between like boastfully and publicly proclaiming that we don't want to do stuff.
No, it's not that I don't want to do it. I just hate it and I do it in spite of.
We all hate stuff and do it in spite of.
Think about how healthy it was for us to hear Mandrill say, as somebody who you look at and you see him work out all the time, and say, there's still days when I get up and I don't want to do that. Exactly. Now, am I doing that every day? Every time I cook a meal, I hate it. Am I slamming pots? Am I telling my husband how I hate it is? No, I'm not. That's not happening. He knows, but that's not happening. But when I'm here and I'm supposedly giving life advice and I'm trying to help somebody out here, it was just like how it was helpful for us to hear Mandrill, who we look at and say, well, he loves this. He could do this every day. Right. Say outwardly, like, no, I don't want to do this every day. Like, that's how I feel about a lot of women. I think there are a lot of women who feel like me, but they just never heard anybody who does it in spite, or if you were to look at me and say, well, she cook every day, she's a stay-at-home mom, she must have something innately in her that makes her want to do that. And it's like, absolutely not. Like, no, you need to know that you too can do this in spite. But you have to have something bigger than yourself calling you, you know, to you're gonna have to get outside of your own self to be able to push through that. And so for me, that's where it comes from. I think it's useful, I think it's helpful. Because I think you look at me and Shire in the same situation, but we are so opposite.
So opposite. But we have similar feelings in different areas, you know.
Right.
So like there's times when I have to tap into her energy. Like I'll like, what would Bree say right now? Because it's something that I'm clearly weaker in, you know, like as far as I will procrastinate it the whole way through, overthink it, and to the point I won't even do the physical thing because I'm trying to think about the whole process before I start. I'm trying to perfect. See, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to systems. And so like me naturally, I like to organize things. Hold on a second.
You gotta love having kids.
We both talking to our kids, so.
But
right, are you serious?
They seem to come in strong when you really into something. They're like, no, you can't be into anything but me. But no,
magnetic.
Yeah, no, that's really. Magnetic. I don't know if boys are that way, but I know girls like they seem to come out of out of the womb with resource management. Like they be micromanaging your energy. Like I don't know if boys do that, but girls be like, "Are you looking at something else?"
Right. The boys don't do that. The girls be like,
well, I don't know, because you don't think the boys do that? Yellow.
No,
I think they do it with stuff. I think we do it more with stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, my junior be on my hip, so you know what I'm saying. When he around me, it's pretty much like any given second he can pop up. Hey, what you doing? Let's do this right now. Yeah, fuck your life. Come on, we finna go do this.
Oh, well, see, that's different. No, the girls, they don't actually want to do anything with you. They just don't want you doing anything else.
If you're cleaning and mopping, they're fine. They're gonna be in their corner. But as soon as you sit down from doing that and you want to just do something for your own time and pleasure, it's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's not okay.
It's not.
They take it personally.
They do.
He's not too much like that. He'll go off and go do his thing. Like now and then he'll come in and come check in, but
Okay, so that's a female thing.
It's a female thing. Yeah.
And stays throughout life.
He's about, don't do that.
What?
We didn't need that extra. We didn't need that extra sentence.
Wait a minute.
That was not necessary to the
don't
conversation.
They definitely don't go away.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Hold on. Wait a minute. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I feel like, well, okay. I'm gonna let y'all have that one today.
I always say the worst scenario you can put yourself in as a man is to call your woman and have fun happening in the background. You might not even be your fun. You could be walking past some fun that ain't even your fun, and she be like, "Who the fuck was that laughing in the background?" What you mean? Who was that laughing in the background?
Right. Don't you stare at that fun for more than 5 seconds.
You ever consider that you might be in an abusive relationship?
Right.
Yeah, we're with
emotionally abusive. It's about, of course. Okay, you can say that, but I can't say women experience dominance differently from men.
I didn't say you couldn't say it. I didn't even say anything was wrong with it.
Oh, okay.
Of course, you experience it differently.
Yeah,
but it's not that we don't experience it. It's just
Yeah, we experience from the subordinate side.
So do we. We're not all top G. We're not all top
but
dog.
like if y'all not all top dog, but like you get the privilege of being sized up first. We don't even get sized up.
Yeah, we don't get sized
up. It's like
up.
You're a woman, I'm a man, so therefore I'm dominant. Like that's why we experience it differently.
Can't even laugh at TikToks and memes.
Right.
I hear what you're saying, but
we're the weaker vessel. Okay, y'all. So you don't sit here and gaslight and pretend. Yes,
physical dominance.
Physical.
I would argue to say that on the social end, if you push that all the way to the other end, it is something innately about. It is a certain innate dominance that a woman feels over a man socially. You should hold.
No,
the
I'm
door
not talking
open
about socially. I'm talking about
right. That's what I'm saying. No, so that's what I'm saying. I get physically, but this is the This
The
the
inverse,
shadow.
the opposite.
This the shadow.
Yeah, the
Of
shadow of it.
This the shadow of that dominance. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That you feel physically, you possess that same amount of dominance socially. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? So to the fact that you feel it's the shadow. That's all I'm trying. That was the
Yeah,
point.
so we experience that because it exists.
Mhm. It
Just like
is.
women,
experience it.
just like women who exert stupid, ridiculous stuff over their kids because they're subordinates. They're little
Yeah,
human.
yeah, and I think
Right.
that's bullying. That's just
All
Absolutely.
heterosexual relationships are abusive. I'm not inclined to disagree with B9 because I done told you I was asking women, are there men allowed to have an emotional attachment to anybody else but them? And they said no.
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even say female. I just said anybody. They
Mhm.
said no.
Anybody.
I haven't asked a woman yet that said yeah.
Fun, connection,
What?
relationship.
I mean, he can have friends.
Now you can pass time with some people, but I
Yeah,
don't
you can
want you
have
enjoying them.
acquaintances.
Right.
Yeah.
Key word for you're not allowed to have an emotional attachment to anybody else. You can have
Yeah.
acquaintances.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
have peeps in the streets.
Yeah, at some point, we're gonna have to admit that most people are operating from shadow, and most people are operating from an emotional deficit. Like, so most people are experiencing these negative style relationships in some aspect or another, like to varying degrees. But like what you said though about dominance, I'm gonna argue this point, Bree. You're arguing for like a I don't even know what that's for. Like, at least you get sized up first. Okay, they measured my size before I went through the slaughterhouse. Ooh, like that was so great. Like they sized me up before I got violated.
Okay, so but would you agree there are some men who you're gonna be able, like if you said, if I just lined you up and I just lined you up and said, hey, here's all these men, there are gonna be some that you say I can beat, and then there's gonna be some where you say he probably could beat me, and then there's some it'll be equal fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not gonna line me up with any man and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I can take him.
Yeah.
I mean, but what you're saying is you're not going to feel like you can physically take them. So you're talking about a feeling that's self.
They're not gonna feel like I could physically beat them either.
But it doesn't
Like,
matter.
Like, I'm just saying. So that's all I'm talking about. I'm not saying what could really happen.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking. I understand what you're talking about. I'm saying that's a, and forgive the inflammatory way I'm gonna say this. I only know one way to say this. That's a silly thing to care about, because like who cares if at the end of the day, if you get knocked out because you're a woman and I get knocked out because I'm smaller than the other guy, what does it matter?
I'm talking about it in the realm of perceived dominance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about even after the fight. I'm just saying, like, women generally, as a person who you're looked at and you're seen as the weaker vessel, you're going to experience perceived dominance differently.
Mhm.
That's my
Yeah.
point. I don't
No,
see what
I understand what you're saying, Brie. I understand. I understand. You don't have to reiterate it. I get it. What I'm saying is, but we're in reality. Like we actually play life out beyond that feeling and thought. So because we play life out beyond that feeling and thought, we do and can say, well, a lot of men are dominated too. Like this is the whole patriarchal thing. Women, the patriarchy hits us women. The patriarchy hits us women. Well, guess what? The patriarchy hits us men too. If we're on the chopping block, we can't keep talking about how this lands on women a certain way. Well, it lands on us too, and if it lands on everybody, it becomes what you like to say, Bree, a moot point.
Well, in this conversation is relevant because I'm talking about if someone's shadow, if they were in the control aspect and their shadow was running the show and they perceived the dominance on someone, they're probably going to feel the negative effects of that. I also went on to say everybody has their experience of that. Like you as a black man in society going to experience that from probably a white man in a way that I wouldn't experience. And my kids are going to experience it in a way that you wouldn't experience from me. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the pushback is for. Everybody gets a taste of it. I'm not saying that y'all don't have y'all experience with that. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't know. What
No, it's just.
I'm just not understanding what Rashawn is disagreeing with, or what the.
I think that he's trying to low key use magician words to say that it doesn't matter.
That's what I'm thinking he's trying to say.
Yeah, I think that's really the point. But I mean, I think it does matter because if it didn't matter, then the certain things would not physically exist. As far as what we talk about in society, it wouldn't physically exist if it didn't exist internally already.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we saying.
Trust me, I understand. I
But
understand. I understand.
We don't understand you clearly. We trying to figure out where the point, the lack of understanding is coming from on our side.
No, I understand. It's going to be hard for you to understand my position because there's already a narrative in place that keeps yours anchored. There's an anchoring of an idea and a philosophy of the victimhood of women. Like there's a victimhood place where it can't be equalized that men experience the same victimization. I promise you, I know you because the language is different. We think we're having a different conversation. But this is the same thing, like, oh, women, the intimate partner violence from men on women, oh, it's a tragedy, it's terrible, it's awful. But if you look at the way that guys are victimized physically and violently by other men, it's precipitous. It's so much worse. It's so much worse.
I think they're related.
Yeah, I think that
I'm not saying that they exist in a vacuum, because when I was having that conversation about women experience dominance different, I was like, the situation, for instance, with Tyree Nichols is an example of how men experience dominance from other men and how much more violent it is when men have perceived dominance over another man. It's way more violent, right? Because y'all aren't perceived by them as a necessarily weaker vessel, but maybe they have something that's giving them power, agreed upon power over you, and then you see them like once they decide you're the villain or once they decide you're lower than them, they definitely are way more violent towards other men. So like I think they're related, and that's why I was saying like I think so I do think they're related, and I do think men suffer from that, but there's not always on a daily level a perceived dominance from a random guy over another guy. Like, but when you see it in police or like people who hold power, people in positions of power, you see it all the time. Like men in positions of power, how they treat anybody who's under them.
Yeah.
It's always pretty terrible, whether it's male or female.
Yeah, it is.
And Brie, I hear you. You're making perfect sense. And what I'm arguing for here
is that
your lack of empathy. It's just a lack of empathy because there's an assumption. I promise you, Brie, you just said that men don't experience this on the daily like women do.
I mean, from some groups of men, I definitely think y'all do.
Yeah.
On a daily basis.
Yeah.
No, I do. I think from some group of men, y'all do experience that on a daily basis, and like always.
Yeah. And I think it depends on where you're positioned in your personal life. Sometimes will determine the level of extremity that y'all experience.
I mean, I think they all experience it with like cops. Like like one group that terrorizes people on a daily basis. That's right. Like, I mean, bosses, managers. I mean, I'm not saying y'all don't, but I think we're experiencing maybe on a less violent level on a daily basis. But same way women but men suffer from the covert matriarchy just as certain type of women would suffer by them. Yeah, I don't know. We'll pass on the point because I don't get what the problem is or what I'm saying.
I don't think it's a problem. I think he's trying to.
No, I don't know. I don't know what counterpoint Rashawn is trying to make.
Yeah, I think
I can't perceive it.
I know it's a blind spot.
I know I can't perceive it, so it's annoying.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it's a choice of words. This goes back to what we talked about before about choice of words sometimes gets you mixed up. But I think we are both acknowledging that there is a level of dominance experience in both men and women.
Right. We experience it differently.
And to some degree, right, differently. And the situations are also different. And the level of like I said, extremity is different versus men versus women. But we both definitely experience it to some degree.
I'm not saying I would even prefer to experience it how men experience it, because y'all experience it worse when y'all do get the overt like dominance. I think y'all experience it way worse than we generally experience it because it's not acceptable for us to experience it that way. So I'm not trying to trade either.
No, for sure. For sure.
But that's why when we say y'all ain't shit and y'all not fit to lead, we be meaning that shit. And y'all don't believe it till one of y'all get y'all own ass beat. That's all. If we really want to say, I be like, I can subtly, microaggressively see that he's not fit to lead, just on how he talked to me as a woman, and he's a man. Like there are some men you could just talk to them and you be like, I could just tell in the conversation right now that you would completely abuse power if you had it, just based on how you talking to me because I'm a woman. And like, so I would believe if you got any more power, and God forbid you got power over men, you would just become a tyrant. It'd be terrible. Or how you treat your kids, like women with how she treat her kids. If she's terrible to her kids, if she gets power, or within the area she's in power, like if you see a woman who has kids and maybe she's a manager over people, I promise you she's terrible at work. She's a tyrant. She probably micromanage. She probably don't like overtly, outwardly, but she probably is a terrible manager or leader at her job too. But we never believe each other. So.
We got breaking news. Hey, my whole opinion on the patriarchy has changed. It's going to be my first season 3 episode when I come back. Good Lord, I cannot wait. I cannot.
That
wait.
sounds very interesting.
Can you restate B9's question to me? One of the men's is that I'm trying to figure out what this.
So lions treat the other animals as subservient? I can't do his accent perfectly, but that's as good as I can get.
Okay, so what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
I don't subservient
because I feel like animals be existing, so I don't really know.
And then dominance is enacted upon them without their permission. So it's not about subservience more so as it is the dominance. Like you don't
they're naturally dominant.
Like somebody that has power just seizes whatever they want, and you're a collateral damage. You're a byproduct. You don't even matter in the equation. You're just getting run over.
So
whether it's you, whether it's the next person, you're just something. That was Sean's whole point. It's worse for us. Thank you, Bree. We took the scenic route, but we got it.
Ain't my fault. He said it in a not female friendly way. So
sorry.
Oh, you're right.
Sorry, I forgot that.
It was vague. It was vague.
Vague.
Vague. It was vague.
Vague.
It was vague.
Vague.
What? Yellow. Are you muted, Yellow? What?
I've just been chilling, rolling, listening to this kerfluffle.
I was gonna say it was vague. Sorry. If I'm clearly giving you signs that I'm missing context, then that means it was vague.
Okay. I mean, I love the offloading of communication labor. I love how women love to avoid this one thing. Real quick, Yella. Where is it at? And I'm stealing this from Yella, but women love.
All right, ladies.
Let's go.
Hell no. Okay. All right. That's why I draw the line. Y'all doing way too much. Okay. You crazy? Who's taking action? I'ma head out. Okay. Good luck, ladies.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Because nobody's gonna take it. I get it. It's okay. I understand. It's uncomfortable and it's hard to pick up. It is hard to pick up. It's hard. It's slippery. Every time you try to grab it, it's grease pig, boy.
It's too hot. We drop it. Sorry.
It's hot.
I don't know the relevance to this conversation, but carry on.
I get it. I know, Bree. It's all good.
I'm just like, notice how when they feel like we're being vague, they always do the worst thing. They don't never choose to do the best thing. They don't never choose to do the best case scenario. They always just do the worst thing. All right, well, I'm gonna do shit then.
Yeah, that's the problem with vagueness, because you leave room for people to project negativity onto it. If people always projected positivity on the vagueness, the world would be amazing.
Amazing.
That's not what happens ever.
Ever, never.
And what you want me to say? What would it count to be like? I'm not intelligent enough to decipher what you just said to me, Rashawn. Can you say it in another way? Can you bring it down to my level, please?
I mean,
let's
look. You know
I
what?
can
No,
say that.
it's okay, Yella. I mean,
I
it's
don't.
okay, Yella. I mean,
I'm
because
just
if
saying, and I'm not
let's
saying
play.
Bree is
I'm
that
okay
way.
I'm not
saying
picking
that.
up
I'm
I'm
what
not
you.
okay.
saying,
I don't know
I'm
what
not picking
you're
up what you
saying to
put
me.
down. So could
I
you?
and
don't.
I'm not
I'm
saying Bree
clearly
is.
confused. I'm not
Could you put it
understanding.
down a little differently?
I'm not saying Bree is that woman, but I'm just saying in a lot of
I'm that
cases,
way. For the sake
a
of
lot of
conversation, I'm that way.
a lot of times we deal with women who assume that they know what the hell motherfucker. See, you can't expect mind reading if you can't read minds. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing about it, right? Clairvoyance. How
That was
how
some
you
high
got
shit.
how you got women's intuition
Uh-oh.
and you can't. How you got
Did you?
women's intuition and you can't anticipate what I'm trying to tell you already?
What? Hold on.
How does intuition is
That
about?
doesn't play a part in this at all.
Yeah,
What?
you knew some hell
Never.
out of
That's
No.
called mind reading. That's not
What?
intuition and mind reading. They don't even happen in the same realm.
They don't.
Yeah, dude.
Listen,
No, they don't even happen in the same part of your body.
But,
You don't feel it
And
in the same spot.
you're saying we supposed to
yeah,
mind
yeah,
read.
because women's intuition come out their butt. That's exactly
Wait,
don't
what
it
I'm
though?
talking about.
Don't it? Don't it?
Exactly.
wait.
You
Well,
right.
you guys have
100%.
publicly heard me say that 98% of the time, I promise you, your intuition is just your own anxiety that you haven't unpacked. So I'm not one to just say run off intuition because it be
Right.
off. AWF.
Off.
Yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And intuition is usually driven by triggers also. So yeah, with that being said, but you talk about intuition when it comes to words that's being put out to me, and that doesn't
Yeah.
that doesn't
I don't
make
know how
sense.
that's relevant to this
That is
conversation.
not an equal part equation for me. My math brain broke when you said that. I was like,
I get
no,
it.
when
I
you're
get
talking
it.
about words that you're spitting
I
out of your
love it.
mouth.
I love it.
He
Thank
got
you,
that
B9.
evil. What's that one guy who be
Because that's
making
where I
a
was going
TikTok?
again. That's where I
What?
was going again. This is exactly where I was about to go.
Emotional.
The
Hold on.
emotional
First of all, what you not
intelligence.
finna do is act like being high
Wait.
EQ means that you always understand everything people say to you all the time.
Mm,
But go
What's the
ahead,
hell
make your
point?
point.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I
High
missed a
EQ
lot
then?
because my
Like,
internet was out.
You
I would assume somebody with high IQ would know a lot of shit. So if you got high EQ, you would be highly in tune with people's emotions
but do you think people with
and what
high
they
IQ
want.
know everything? Kanye West got a high IQ.
Yes. And you got to remember that we're in a world full of different people who have different thoughts and also
Man.
who express communication differently. So just because I have a high IQ does not mean that I'm automatically going to know what you're trying to put out to me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sense of what you didn't already said. I'm trying to look at your
I'm
words.
trying to see the point they trying to make.
Exactly. I'm
Yes,
trying
I
to make
love
your
it.
words make sense to me in my brain. So you got to
Yes.
help me in that process because it's you versus
Yeah.
me.
This is great because I feel like this is a conversation between shadows. That's what this should be called. A conversation between shadows. Because that's what it feels like right now. Everybody's shadow. This is a conversation. This
The
is a shadow
shadow.
room.
We
I
got
love
on
it. I
autopilot
love
right
it.
now.
Oh, I
It's the
love it
shade
so
room.
much. I
The
love it. I love it.
It's the
I
shade
love
room.
it.
It's the real shade
We
room.
should have
Because
a
Rashawn
shadow
over there
show.
with that.
Everybody
He look
should
like
show
this.
up in
What's that
black
dude?
shades.
No, go ahead. Please explain to us what B9 means about.
Yes, please.
No, what you
I'm
say, that's
just
exactly what I was going to say.
Come on, Shadow
I'm just
Rashawn.
I'm just watching y'all go through all the passive aggressive
Ooh,
condescending talk.
Mm.
I'm just enjoying it and smoking. I'm getting the vapors from Yella and y'all. Like, as you know, you talked about, oh no, what do you want me to say? I'm less intelligent. I can say that. I'm less intelligent. I'm just a stupid lady brain. Yes, I get it. That's not what I was saying at all, because I use the English language that we all speak. Bree, I do an ism show with you, and we unpack some of the most complicated psychological conversations known to man.
That
But
wasn't
what
me.
we're not going to do is talk about that. A woman experiencing dominance, probably through violence, and a man experiencing dominance. I just said that these are my words.
Okay.
So that a man is experiencing dominance, which I'm adding, probably through violence, and a man who experiences dominance, probably through violence, are not correlated or the same. Now, you did get to the point where you said, I do admit I do admit that men and women probably go through the same thing from the same phenomena, the same source of power and dominance, but men experience it in a more violent way on a day-to-day basis. Cool. You understood me intellectually, but what you didn't want to do was give me that good old EQ. You did not want to extend any empathy to men. You didn't want to consider it until it was so hard to resist in your IQ. Dang, if I don't concede this point, it's going to look really bad. Obviously, men suffer violence. I've got to let this one go because I'm going to look crazy if I keep staying on this point. So I'm going to give up the IQ point, but I'm not going to give up the EQ point. Not going to do it. I'm not going to concede that I care one bit. That's all.
No, I think well, when you restated kind of what started the conversation, I could see where the issue was. Because I wasn't ever inferring that we experienced it differently in terms of violence. I actually wasn't even talking about in terms of violence.
Yeah.
At all.
I get you. And I spoke to that. I said, I understand theoretically women carry an emotion that's a self-regulation thing. That's an emotional regulation that you feel you're not sized up the way men are sized up. Those are your words about being sized up. Men we get the privilege. And you said that like I don't know what you want to call that, like facetiously. Men get the privilege of being sized up. Women are kind of dismissed casually. You're not even seen as a threat. But that's what I'm saying. That's a feeling. That's a feeling that you carry about not even getting the privilege of being sized up. I'm not even seen as a threat. I'm not even a factor. Like the dominance doesn't even see me as a threat, a factor. So that's what you put forward.
And I was just talking about like experiencing that as well through like behaviors, but not violent behaviors.
Right. But I was just saying that we have to accept, like in a larger context, yes, that does happen. Women are dismissed, not just dominance physically, because you did bring up physically, but even when women have ideas and stuff, like in boardrooms across the country, if women suppose something, a lot of times it'll get dismissed, or they have to work harder to be heard and understood because they'll just assume you don't know. There's an assumption of a lack of intelligence, which is why I think you wanted me to say that I'm unintelligent. That's your shadow, not mine. You tried to put it on me.
I already told you she healed.
But it ain't me. It ain't me.
It's a conversation between shadows.
Not my shadow. My shadow's not there.
No,
not there.
Shadow.
He's not here. I sent him to go get milk. He's probably not coming
your
back
voice
like my
changed
father.
when your shadow came into
Because I was like, his face changed and everything. Rashawn
the voice changed. I was like, who is that?
Who this?
Man,
whatever.
Ooh,
I'm glad. I still
I'm
feel like I didn't get it. But if you said I
entertained.
got it, then I'm going to just trust that because I still feel like I don't get it. I really do. I really feel like I didn't get it, but y'all saying I got it. So that's fine. Somehow I picked up on something and I got it. I just still wouldn't be able to repeat your point back to you, which makes me feel like I didn't get it.
Nah, it's all good.
It's all good.
That's what I was saying. That the blind spot is always going to be rejected. There is a conditioning. There's a conditioning in, I'll say, American women. There's a conditioning in American women to reject certain ideas of vulnerability in men. So there's an automatic tacit acceptance of victimization and vulnerability in women. But in men, that's part of the patriarchy. You're automatically the opposite of what you're talking about. What happens to you, we get the opposite. So you're the automatic assumption that a woman is not a threat. Well, the automatic assumption is that I am. Which is an equal and opposite problem for us. So it's not that we do it like you said, your original point. We experience dominance differently. And again, that's where your point stopped. And my point further going above your point was, but we're all still being dominated. So we need to have some grace and room for each other and not add on some of these layers of expectation that we know the dominance keeps us from ever achieving, which is what's happening in these relationships. We expect men to be dominant in a way that society will not allow. You're capped. You're not going to reach it. But we're expecting people to break through this dominance magically to prove themselves. and then also ding the men as having a shadow for trying to prove themselves, because it was just in one of the things. I can't remember which one of them, like proving yourself. That's one of the shadow things. You got to prove it. I can't remember which one it was.
Is it the control one or the feel the need
It might have been,
because then he
but
become
you
a
need to-
tyrant?
Yeah, there's something about, it
himself?
was something about having in the shadow. It was you feel the need to prove yourself. When we were looking at it, but that's again part of the conditioning. The same way the lover is conditioned in a woman, some of these other ones are conditioned in men. But we're all being conditioned, but then expected to not act like we're conditioned, but still perform like we are. So it's like this paradox of paradoxes, and that's what always catches me off guard when I hear people, and it's like, okay, I catch one layer of the conditioning, but then I stop catching it, but then I start catching it again, but I want to pick and choose where I catch it. So that always makes me giggle, but I understand because we're all
it's so ingrained that it's like layers. It's like layers to it.
It's the culture.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the paradox I find myself in all the time. Like I said, as a woman, there are certain things that are expected of me. And there are certain things that are expected of me, and I just have an existential rage about them. And I will always carry them with me my whole life. And I actively fight against them while simultaneously indulging in them. And it's such a terrible paradox to be in, and it's very frustrating. So I think that that's probably the reality for a lot of men. There are probably men. I mean, I think most modern men would go through that. I don't think my husband would go through that. Like if you were to say he's in a traditional setup, but he also fights back against that. I'm sorry, my tolerant there being a tyrant, but he also fights back against it in some ways. It's kind of like weird just to be in the two spaces at once and like adamantly rejecting it with one part of yourself, but being unable to not have to play to it. At some point is very infuriating.
I can understand that being frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was all.
That was funny. I forgot I was making a point earlier. I completely lost it though because
the shadow boxing threw you off.
Then my daughter didn't want me to continue the point, so I lost all trains of thought on it.
It's okay. My daughter in there yelling at her grandma, talking about she need to learn how to cook.
What?
I'm teaching you how to cook.
Oh, shit.
She not paying attention, apparently. You need to pay attention.
Oh my gosh.
You look tired.
Oh man.
I mean that's cool. This is great. See, shadow work happening in real time.
There we go,
I mean?
guys.
This is
y'all,
great.
Y'all clip that.
Yeah, I want to ask y'all, like, did y'all learn anything about your own shadow? Have y'all started the process of shadow work, integration?
That's what
have you named your shadow? You know, how comfortable are you with your shadow? Is your shadow here? Can we speak to them? I want to know that. Let me ask Yella. He been quiet, so I feel like
Yella, let's go.
They want to talk to you. No.
What you say?
He said, "Look, he had talk to y'all, but he ain't got time for that shit." So that's what my shadow is.
Does he have a name?
Does my shadow have a name? I think my shadow is me more than anything. I think like Kevin is my shadow.
Oh, the Batman paradox. Okay.
Yeah. So are you seeking more to be like a Batman? Like you just want to exist, like you want to be the Dark Knight?
I just rather just exist. Yeah. Just exist and do what I do and just, you know what I'm saying? My impact will be what it be and people will notice it and people will feel it and people will know it's me. But, you know, the dude that I say this all the time. If you deal with what you deal with during the day is cool. But when you lay down at night, that's who you really are. Right. And that is probably who your shadow is too. Because that's the person that's when they go dream saying, what shadow name is Dark Brown Peel? No,
Dark Brown
no aspiration. No aspiration.
But no, I think so. You saying when you go to bed, you think, well, people by default, that's their shadow. because we've established most people chilling in the shadow realm until they climb
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. So they realize they in a shadow realm and want to climb out. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to
But that's
climb
when
out.
all
Everybody, you don't
that's
just
when all
climb
them
out
good
either.
insecurities come
No.
up.
No.
No,
What you
I'm
say,
saying
Yellow?
that's when
You
them good
low.
insecurities set. My bad. I said that's when them good insecurities set in, and you know what I'm saying,
Ooh.
and all them fears and doubts and all that shit that make you act a certain type of way. That's when
Yeah.
all that shit register. That's when all
Yes.
that shit register. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I mean, this was cool because instead of explaining it to where instead of presenting it to where no, it's not palatable and it's coming from a very like judgmental, almost, you know what I'm saying, self-serving kind of way that people present shadow work. You know what I'm saying? This was cool because you, that's right,
Because I
My
have a
twin
little bit
knows
of
he's
the
talking about
because I have the little bit of the magician in me. The dark magicians piss me off. So anytime you say that, I just get rage because there's certain subset of spiritual practitioners that I have an unnecessary rage against because they're a part of because it's me. We the same.
Mm-hmm.
this is cool because I guess this is the part of I can't remember what part of the wheel was talking about, but it was like only feeling comfortable when it's provable,
Mm-hmm.
or like only it's like you only move in that direction when it's a proven fact. This is cool because this don't leave room for interpretation. Like this actually tells you, look, this is how I set up. This is how far you can go on the good side. This is how far you can go on the bad side, and it's all on the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? It shows you the spectrum that behavioral pattern can be on. So
Yeah.
when Bree had brought up the like the police officer, like when you see the perceived bad guy, regardless of what position you have in it, you don't regulate for it. You go full blast. And then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That registered to me, that registered with me. So I can see how this will work better than I didn't even say it. This works really well.
I think sometimes when we have these collective arguments about reform and what needs to happen to fix problems, though, I think the individual, like when we say the self work or the individual work is the problem, because if you start to look at every cop or every police, they're going to carry some archetype and some shadow to their job.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just saying there are some good cops and bad cops, where good and bad language, moral language is really bad for shadow work. Because to some degree, to discover your shadow, you're gonna have to figure out your evil side.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
somebody told you that side of you was bad. That's why it's your shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start using good cops or bad cops, every cop has a shadow side. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times they're unable to even explore their implicit biases or their shadow self that's going to make them respond the same way in the same situation. You know, and then everybody's like othering people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'll never be that person. Well, if you the hero archetype, you could very well be that person.
Easily, yeah. And it's a lot of people walking out here with shadows they don't even know that they have until they're faced with said situations, or certain situations. And I think if that's what the shadow work is important. You have to know. I mean, how it's almost like how do you know how to defeat an enemy if you're not aware of who your enemy even is? You don't even know. So I think that I do agree, like we need to stop calling it good or bad. We need to just start saying this is just a part of me that I need to figure out how to work with, because you're never going to just be able to just completely get rid of that part of you. You're either going to suppress it or you're going to integrate it, one or the other. Or
Yeah.
you can just go all the way to the shadow side if you want, but
I promise you, God don't feel no type of way about your shadow. I promise you.
no.
I promise you.
He know we all got them.
Or the religious people, the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
You got both.
You
So
have both. Yeah.
he don't feel no type of way about it.
No. And we all have to, and I think even biblically, he said we would have to live with our, the evil side of us even. There's stuff that we have just through
It's gonna be
generations.
there. You
It's
can't
gonna
pray it
just be
away.
there. You can't pray it away, but you can learn how to integrate it in a healthy way that's going to have a more, I guess, positive.
Positive. Yeah, you wanna I mean, sometimes, depending on the shadows, really
Yeah.
not a positive way to really dwell in it, but you can just kind of give it as a person who I feel like, I mean, there's multiple aspects of this. There's probably some parts of myself that I have tempered and integrated well, and there's some other, like I know that magician side of me, she ain't really integrated well yet. But some of the other ones, yes, but I think it's just giving space to it and also just kind of tempering it, just not letting it drive you crazy. Just knowing, like, if you're a lover and you're codependent, just knowing that, kind of having a moment outside of yourself where you're like, I feel like my partner doesn't love me, and just realizing that if that's your shadow, that there's probably nothing this fucking man could ever do to really like make you feel secure enough. Like if that's really your shadow side and it's a bottomless pit of affection and outward expression and whatever, you probably will never feel like it's enough. Just like me as a creative, it's never good enough. And so I don't, like that's part of integrating it, just kind of cutting yourself off. Because I mean, but it exists with you. So, I mean, it's going to be in you whether it's good or bad or not. So just kind of knowing yourself. Because if a woman I'm not somebody who has the like, I feel the lover archetype projected on me, but that's not naturally what I am. But so my shadow isn't necessarily like feeling the need for constant affection, right? I don't have that. I'm not even really. So I can, like the same man could be okay with somebody like me versus somebody who's in that shadow who constantly needs all this outward affection. He could be doing the same thing to two different people, and depending on what archetype they're dealing with, it's gonna be received differently. So I think that's the part of integrating the shadow, just knowing when to cut yourself off from your negative side, when to just tell it, okay, we moving on now, because you're not gonna be like I yield, like how I'll yield an argument sometimes, just yielding, like, look, just put the shit out. Just like that's what I have to say with my art. Just put the shit out. Put the t-shirt in the store. This the booth you got. Finish it, close it out. And you just have to be able to do that with your shadow to temper it.
I'm in the process of working. I've worked through some parts of my shadows where I'm learning to integrate them in a healthier way. There's still some parts I have to work on, and like I actually have to physically sit here and have talks with my self-sabotaging voice that I've gotten so used to letting it run me and not the opposite. So now I'm like taking reign on like making sure that I'm not letting that part of my shadow control me, because I realize, one, is toxic, and two, that a lot of the times some of the things that this part of my shadow says is needed is not really necessary. A lot of the times it's just coming from like trying to fill a void of some parts of my insecurities or whatever, and I have to be able to recognize the difference between when it's an insecurity versus when it's real. And I have to like tell myself, okay, is this a real thing right now, or is this me and my paranoia, self-sabotaging self right now? And I have to have conversations with it and be like, okay, let me process what I'm feeling. And I even had to like go watch a couple, videos about how to process emotions, because I realized I wasn't processing them. They were just being constantly suppressed, swept under the rug, and then they'll resurface,
It's like
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
circle. I mean, it take a long time. It's a lot. It's hard work, especially if you don't get like I had therapy at one point, and
Yeah.
I mean, it just takes a lot of time, especially if you transitioning through life.
Yeah.
It can bring out new ones, and so
Yeah.
it's hard. But it's like you might have to be that concrete at first, and then over time, it becomes a little bit
Yeah.
easier. So
Easier.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
But
It
that's what
looks like
Mhm.
Yellow. I just want to make sure he didn't lose his thought
Oh, I'm
before,
sorry, Yellow. Go
because he
ahead.
had did like this.
No, you good. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, no.
No, I was but I'm learning that like a lot of the things that I'm working through are just it's so funny. They're all opposite of who I deem to be as a person.
You
And I
don't tell
have
yourself you none of it. It be
no.
hiding. Yeah, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, ooh. So yeah, I have to. So now I'm getting to the point where if it's not productive, if it's counterproductive to who I am wanting to be and who I um am trying to be, I have to talk that voice down. Like I have to like, look, this is what it is. This is how I feel about it. And have to take all the feelings and process them in that moment. I can't let the moment pass anymore. I have to sit there with it. I have to deal with it because if I don't, I know that it's going to resurface in a completely different way, probably worse way, probably more toxic way in the long run. And I'm trying to not move from that place anymore, trying to go from just dealing with situations as they come. And then it's so funny. I'm naturally good at organizing, right? That's like one of my strengths. And so I've even had to tap into my organizational side of myself to help me through these things because this is kind of what helps me keep clutter at bay. Is I deal with things as they come. Okay, if we buy this or if we do this, if I have a lot of stuff, I deal with it, organize it. What I don't need, I toss it out. What I want to keep, I try to put it in its place, right? So I have to do the same thing with my emotions and thoughts. I have to deal with them as they come, process them, and put them in their place. It's the same thing. So it's like, hold
That's
on.
good. That's a good process, actually.
Yeah, like I have to deal and I can't for me, I'm not the kind of person that does well under clutter or too many things
Yeah.
piling up. So I I I realize a lot of my mental blocks that I thought were just me physically not having the ability to do it was really just mental clutter that I needed to process and deal with and clear out.
Had to Marie Kondo your brain.
Man, I did, really.
But I mean, that's good though.
Really.
That's good that you like getting through that process without professional outside help and just kind of seeking the knowledge you need. So I mean that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's dope.
We working on it.
Thank you for
Shot
sharing
Kid
it.
4.0 coming at you for February. It was just
I know y'all getting old up there. Y'all getting old.
What you talking about? 4.0? That is young, girl.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do I look 40? No. So
no, black don't crack. So we all know. But I mean, it's nice to hear people say that some of this stuff is helpful because I've definitely found it helpful for myself.
Yeah.
So I hope that I'm glad to hear that it's helpful for other people. Or else learning through the process as we learn doing the ism shows and stuff. It's like actually helping people and giving people language for shit that they've been dealing with their whole life and just can never articulate. So thank you. That's good.
Good.
But
And
I'm a
stop. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Look like he got a look. What?
Who, me? Or Yellow? I want to hear her. I feel like she's getting in. I feel like she's getting on somebody. I want to hear.
Who? What?
No, go ahead.
Like, the way your face was, I'm like, oh, she getting on somebody. But
I wasn't getting on nobody.
No,
Who?
not you. Shy. The way she was.
What?
like she was nice getting on one of her kids. Like,
I was.
Oh yeah. She do. That's what she be doing. Yeah, I know.
At the crossroads of idealism and realism.
You made me think about that moment when
Yeah, I know you be seeing me over here trying to negotiate with these emotional terrorists.
No, there was.
See, they be right. They be hovering.
You see this? Y'all hear
They
this?
close.
This
Yeah,
is
they be close.
reality here.
So that's
Keep
why
them
I'm
close.
just like,
Keep them close.
They be close.
It's beautiful. That's life. That's
Oh my
wonderful.
gosh.
There's nothing wrong with it. Let them have fun. Weren't we just talking about that? That y'all, somebody ain't allowed to have fun. Right. As soon as people having fun in y'all's background, y'all like,
oh no, see, it's not the problem of fun. I'm not getting into parenting right now, but I be negotiating.
Right. I just
be like, these are your options, but what you can't do is this. And then they always choose the option that they can't do.
Yeah.
And so then you have to like explain why they can't do it, and then try to explain it now with the more knowledge about why I'm saying you can't do this. Hope that they are reasonable and choose one of the open options, and then be willing to enforce the boundary that they can't. I wish I could just beat my kids. It'd be easier. I do. I really wish I believed to just beat them. It'd be a lot easier. Just go over there and hit them. Done. No words needed.
I mean,
look at Yella. He's like,
hit him. You ain't even got to hit him. You could just like Mortal Kombat leg sweep their ass, and you know what I'm saying. You won't even feel as bad.
You're not getting me on those. You're not getting me on those soapbox about how y'all men like to. You know what? I'm not getting on it because I'm trying not to be misandrous.
You gotta tell the shadow.
It was just clothesline the kids 5 minutes ago, but when I show you the technique,
no, I said I wish I believed in that because it would be a lot easier.
Here's an easy to believe in it. If you leg sweep their little ass, you won't feel that bad. Trust me. They small. They ain't got that far to fall on the ground. They fall all the time.
First of all,
How often do your kids
down on the ground to leg sweep?
Fall on the
I don't have Megan Stallion knees. I'm old. Don't you gotta get down on the ground to leg sweep?
Possibly, but that's all about your dedication to the craft.
I'm not dedicated enough. I'd rather just have a conversation. Yeah. If I gotta squat and sweep, then you know they're gonna be crying loud. You know they're gonna be crying loud.
And you know they're gonna be dramatic too.
Yeah, they're gonna be snot crying.
They're gonna be throwing themselves against the wall, falling on the floor, kicking shoes everywhere, running through up and down.
I'm not. It's not worth it. Thank you. You just really helped me reframe that. No way is easy because if you hit them, they gonna cry loud. They're gonna cry very loud.
They gonna milk.
It's a certain spot where you hit kids. We all got hit there before where that sound don't even come out to like 20 days later.
The sound don't even come out.
Yeah, you hit them and they're like.
I have seen that cry. They just be like.
They buffering. They buffering. They trying to
breathe.
You see Yellow Shadow exposing himself. Hey, Yellow Shadow.
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to the show. I'm just saying. It would be a lot easier sometimes instead of negotiating, talking, explaining, leaving space to make a wise decision, It would just be a lot easier if that wasn't how it went.
And you see how easy it is for men to fall into a position of tyrannical power because you know that would just be a lot more easier to just dominate the entire situation, have complete control, no discussion. Okay, then. So
why don't y'all? But no, you could choose not to do that though.
Yeah.
But why?
So why they don't choose not to do it?
Wow, when it's easier.
But easier doesn't always mean it's for the best.
Yeah.
But easier is easier.
Yeah.
You can't
I understand. I just said it, but there's something in me that says, well, it's easier, but it's not the best. So I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm looking for more long-term results these days when it comes to disciplining. So sometimes the route of least resistance is usually not the best way, and the one that has the most resistance is usually the one that's going to have the best long-term effects. So I tend to go more towards that route these days, even though it requires a lot more mental energy and effort from me on my part.
That's because you're a good leader. You know what I'm saying? That's part of what good leaders do. And not everybody is born innately good leaders, you know, whether they're male or female. So once again, I'm excited for future conversations. I know we had like 3 hours. I gotta make dinner, but I'm excited for more future conversations, especially exploring. Well, we're gonna be exploring the Dark Triad on Tuesday, but I'm excited to even explore our Shadow Triad. We talked about
it's
today.
gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
that's gonna be
shadow's
fun.
name is Diana, by the way. Sorry, I'm gonna tell you.
Diana. Dirty
Scarlet.
Diana.
Y'all know Scarlet. What's up?
Scarlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have no
Scarlet.
name. Alonzo
Diana,
Hall, man. Thank you.
Diana, that dominant part of the shadow, that manipulative, seductive one. I gotta watch out
Tell
for
her
her.
to shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, please.
Sit down somewhere.
Sit down. You done had your time in the shadow. I mean, in the spotlight long enough.
Well, I'm glad she got a name now.
She does.
All right, y'all. Let's get ready to shut this down because I know Bree said she got to go cook. I know Yellow threw up the peace sign on if that was Alonzo or not. Shy Cutie got some wrangling to do. I appreciate you all for being up here on the Ism Show. And I know this is a special shadow edition, but on Tuesday, we will be here for the regularly scheduled Ism Show where we'll be talking about the Dark Triad, but I'm going to be bringing in consumerism because everything that we talked about today is we talked about is through our culture. Our culture shapes a lot of our behaviors and even like the lover, the hero, all that stuff. So our culture, unfortunately, is capitalism and consumerism. So a lot of that Dark Triad that's emerging is because of the culture we find ourselves in. So I'm just going to try to draw that parallel on Tuesday. I don't think I'm going to stream tomorrow as I intended. Man, thank you, B9. Appreciate it, man. Stop it. You already know. You the GOAT. Cut it out. Man, his IG, man, B9 done found he's doing both smart and funny on his IG, man. So if y'all don't tap into B9 on IG, man, that stuff is hilarious. But I appreciate all of y'all. We getting ready to get up out of here. Let me just hit the outro. Does anybody have any last words before we get up out?
No, thanks for watching. Thanks, Shy, for coming up. Thanks, Yella.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Shy. Yella up. Animate. Peace.
So, what is this ism?
Here's the answer to your problems. Dr. Utopia's sensational new discovery, Ism. Ism will cure any ailment of the body politic. It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss.
You know how long the ism been around?
Yeah.
The ism probably been around longer than the Illuminati. But we have different rituals. You know, it's always a ritual to a secret society that we live in. Ism is a secret society. It's a culture, it's a vernacular.
When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. You might not like my fucking delivery, but motherfuckers is starting to talk, you know? Shaking the tables, I don't give a fuck.
Not a good day. Okay? Not back to that one. Shaking the table.
Oh my God, she's so hot.